going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly, and this is a milestone episode, ladies and gentlemen. It is year 4, and this is episode 200. We are, I think, 8 weeks away, probably from 4 years officially, I think, if my math is correct. So, craziness, but 200 is just a better number than 208. Stupid years being 52 weeks a year. I don't know how we did that. But freaking, yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 200. And what's exciting about this is we have an announcement, a big announcement for Batman News Weekly. And for all of you audio listeners on Spotify or Apple or wherever you choose to listen to your podcasts, we've been asking for the last few weeks to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And now there's a big reason for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're making content. We are going to be making Batman content on the Batman News Weekly YouTube channel. We are going to be doing shorts and long form content. It is going to start out very slow. We are going to let you know that now. Don't expect a video every day or anything like that. But the goal is to hopefully give you one short and one long form video each week on top of the podcast. But, you know, Clay is relatively new to the content game when it comes to YouTube videos. So he's still learning. So it's going to be a slow burn. I also got a bunch of shit I'm doing. So we're going to roll out the content very slowly. But if it starts picking up and things start going well, maybe we'll up the production. But we are going to start out pretty slow. So there is a reason for you to hit that subscribe button now and turn on notifications because we are going to start dropping content that is all centered around Batman. Now, I do think we need to make this pretty clear. It is not going to be news content. That is why you should be listening to the podcast. It is called Batman News Weekly for a reason. But Clay, do you want to let them know what kind of content they'll be getting?
Yes. So this was actually a big discussion of ours because I was like, oh, yeah, we can make shorts on like the new announcements for the DCU. And Juice was like, well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense for somebody who's going to be watching the video in like 4 years. They already know who the next Batman is, right? Hopefully that's the way we think of things. So instead, what we thought, hey, we need to have videos and content out there that's going to have longevity, that's going to be timeless, is the word that you used. So for instance, those iconic moments for Batman, I think that is something that we've kind of talked about, the most iconic moments in Batman history, or just I'm throwing things out there so people can kind of get excited about what to watch and look out for. There's ideas out there that are gonna be, okay, well, who's the best Robin and all of these other things and things like that. So I think it will be a lot of fun. I have some ideas out there. One of them is going to be very interesting to see because I think for me, the most interesting thing as me jumping into this content, I know it can be kind of hectic and kind of toxic as far as like other sides of YouTube, but I can't wait to see the comments on some of our videos.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know Clay's approach to doing content because Clay's going to do his own thing. He's going to give his own opinions on things. Mine is going to be very juice. I will say if I think something sucks or whatever in my particular opinion. And that's kind of what we do here on the podcast anyways. So what you hear on the podcast, you're going to get in this content, but we're going to try to provide you certain things. Like the first video will be dropping Monday. I have a short that will be dropping Monday. So that's the first thing you can suspect. So definitely, hit that subscribe button. But yeah, so you'll be able to see what we're going to do. But I want to cover like what you can expect from like certain runs. Like this is Tom King's run. This is Scott Snyder's run. Or, like this was a crazy moment by a certain character. Or did you know this? And like that kind of content. It's just a place for people that want to learn about Batman that can't afford the books or that don't know a lot of stuff. They'll be able to come to the Batman News Weekly channel, get all the news if they want that to go talk to their friends about, and then also learn stuff about the vast, vast history of Batman.
There's going to be a ton of Bat facts. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So, and this isn't just about Batman. We're covering all things Batman like we do on the podcast. So there will be Nightwing videos. There will be Batgirl videos, Cassandra Cain, Gordon, everything. Anything you can think of that's Batman related, we'll cover it. If he's crossed over with certain people, I'm sure we'll do videos like that. So just anything that Batman has touched, we will definitely cover, kind of like we do on this podcast. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. The big announcement on episode 200, Batman News Weekly, will be diving into content. So again, last time, hit that subscribe button. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, with our announcement of content being put on this YouTube channel, Hollywood is deciding, yeah, fuck your content. We're not going to give you any content because we want writers and actors to starve and get out of their damn apartments and have to go move back to Ohio because we're not going to negotiate with them. At least that's what's coming from Discussing Films and what I saw on Twitter.
It's insane, which is actually our first topic to talk about today. So we had heard earlier last week that the Actors Guild were getting ready to go on strike.
Yes.
And from what updates I have been getting throughout this last few days, it does look like they are like, hey, this is your absolute last chance to try to negotiate with us, or we're going on strike. We had also heard that Zaslav, Bob Iger, and a Netflix executive were having a meeting with a mediator in order to negotiate with the Actors Guild.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, you wait until the last freaking minute to try to get a negotiator here when all you really need to do is give them the 2% of earnings that they want. Like,
yeah,
we got. So I don't know if you saw this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Iger, there's an actual video. It's a 2-minute long segment of an interview where Bob Iger says that the actors and writers are being what does he say exactly? It's actually really stupid on how he describes it. He says they are not being realistic, and it's very disturbing to him that the actors and writers are being very unrealistic.
Yeah.
Bob Iger makes $27 million a year.
Yeah, I saw that. He extended his contract or whatever through 2026 or something like that.
Yeah.
I love how you can say somebody's being unrealistic when you make 25 or 20 to $27 million a year off the backs of people that write and fucking act in your films that you manage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is capitalism at its fucking peak. Like, it's like, yeah, I make all this movie, but those people that actually make the machine run, selfish. How am I going to be able to afford my fucking super yacht if I can't fucking get these minions over here to do their job? Like,
it's absolutely insane. And the moment that you had talked about this whole like, oh, we're going to wait them out until they're losing their houses and everything else. Well, it comes from a Deadline article. And it was a spokesperson for the executives.
Mm.
And the crazy thing is, I would say not even 24 hours later, another executive came out and was like, oh, that person doesn't represent us. We're actually trying to work our hardest to get, a fair deal and blah, blah, blah. And it's come out like the writers that are out on the picket lines are making videos and talking about these two statements. And they basically say, this is a fear tactic. Like, oh, you're going to say this and then you're going to say we're on our side. So that way we're more eager to take whatever deal that you hand us.
Yeah.
And that's so fucked up, dude.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
I mean, it's definitely 100% a fear tactic, right? Like that happens at like jobs we used to work at, right? Like people be like, if you don't do this, like there's going to be consequences or whatever, everybody tries to do that. It's a manipulation tactic that people do. I've been in friendships that do this. When I was a little kid was a little shit and I was like, I won't be your friend. Like people learn that at a young age, right? And people escalate it as they get older. And they are like, oh, this is a way to control people, or this is a way to scare people and to do what you want. It's a fucked up thing to do. And and of course, big corporations don't give a fuck. They care about money, and eventually it's going to get to a point where it's like, okay, we're not making money if we're not giving these people what they want, right? At the end of the day, still giving the writers and stuff what they want, residuals or whatever, it's still not going to be anything compared to what these executives are making. You know what I mean? These executives are making millions upon millions of dollars. And if I'm not mistaken, I think if you sell, I mean, this is a long time ago, so maybe prices have changed. But I think like selling a screenplay or something like that was like $10K for a writer, maybe.
Yeah.
That ain't shit in Hollywood. $10K, that ain't even paying your rent for the year. So like, you know, and how long is a screenplay, right? Depending on how fast you write and how well you write. Not everybody can be Stephen King and write a novel in a night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I don't know. That could be somebody's whole year and they only get paid $10K for their one project. Like, and that's why some people I think are in these writer rooms, right? They're like, oh yeah, I can help on other shows, get a steady paycheck, yada, yada. And I think those are the people that'll suffer the most. Like, you know, we saw Colin Farrell on the picket line. He's going to be fine. You know, it doesn't matter. He's going to be okay. So are some of these other people that have had shows in syndication and shit. They're going to be fine. But it's the people that you don't know about that will be like, well, I can't keep living in LA. It would be nice. This is funny. If we all know billionaires like Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, all them, they care about clout, right? They're just really shitty at being able to get it. Elon had it and fucking ruined it. But I feel like if you're a billionaire, if you want to get some brownie points right now, you'd be like, oh, for if you know big executives want to do that, I will totally buy out a whole apartment building and you guys can stay there rent free. Like, you know, you could do something
that
like that
would be
and be like,
wild.
hold out as long as you want. I have free apartments for you guys. Because after that, you still own the apartment building, right? Like after they all fucking move out, you're like, all right, y'all are out. I'm going to rent this shit. And you just give them fucking free board. And they're like, all right, now you just got to take care of your food. And then how is that? Like fucking billionaires' foods for nothing. Like, oh yeah, ham sandwiches all day, every day. Like that's cheap shit for them, you know? Like, so I think if you wanted to get some brownie points, if you're a billionaire out there and you want to support this shit, like everybody be like, oh, because that's the one thing I will say that I've noticed about the internet. If you do something crazy nice, a lot of people be like, maybe he's not so bad. There are those people that are like, hello, let's not forget every bad thing they've done, which that's how it should be. It's like doing one nice thing doesn't negate everything you do. But I'm just saying, if you are in the, you know, the clout chasing mentality and you got money, this would be something to do. Just come out and be like, oh, I'll support anybody that fucking needs support. Like, because, you know, after you get to a certain point, like money seems kind of like meaningless when you can buy whatever you want. So why not do something crazy? But I did think that was kind of fucked up when I heard it. I was just like, God damn, that's cutthroat. And maybe it's because they've been through it before, right? So the studios are like, look, I don't know if they thought they got the worst end of the deal during that first writer strike, you know, 10, 15 years ago. But now it seems like, oh, we're not going to do that again. Or maybe they feel like, you know, the writers are, you know, kind of asking for too much. But to say that, what did they say? It was crazy. Or what did Iger say? What was his words? That it was,
it was,
disturbing.
It was disturbing that they are being how it's disturbing how unrealistic their demands are being right now.
Yeah, I don't know. The only one that I thought was probably a little weird that I think you can slide on was adding more writers if more like episodes showed up or something like that. I'm like, I feel like if you just get the team at the start, I don't see why you would have to add more stuff. Now, I did read over the course of the last few weeks that a lot of people don't take into account that like when you're on set, you have to be there in case they want to change something. And I was like, okay, maybe that's why they want to add more writers. But I think at the same time, I would feel uncomfortable as a writer bringing on somebody new if they wanted to make changes like that. I'm like, I was the one writing this show. Why would I want to bring somebody else on new? Because maybe that's why a lot of these shows suck after a while, because they bring in new writers. And it's like, no. Well, who are you? Fucking, we're moving from, you know, Tynan to Zdarsky. Like, it's so drastic, you know? Like, I think it's kind of bad. But I don't know. It's funny that we're hearing all this writer strikes and it doesn't seem like it's affecting Superman Legacy in any way.
No, it not really. And really, real quick before we jump into the next topic, I do want to say that with the eve of the actor strike, the things that they cannot do, and the reason why we've said it before, San Diego Comic-Con is so basically dead, is it says here, actors will not be allowed to film any movie or TV productions, clearly, take part in any press junkets or film premieres. So red carpets are dead. And then they cannot promote anything at San Diego Comic-Con and will be advised not to attend at all. any promotion, and that is why if people were so curious as of why we as a film community got like 6 trailers yesterday, it's because studios were like, hey, this is probably the only promotion we're going to be able to get, so let's throw it all out there now.
Yeah, so yeah, Comic-Con is going to be straight comics, it feels like, which is kind of cool. But at the same time, if you've ever been to Comic-Con, you're just like, that's gonna be a lot of empty space. Yeah. So I'm curious on how it's gonna feel. I will be there for 2 days. So I guess my only goal is, I felt like I wanted to ask Tom King something in regards to old stuff. So maybe I'll come up with something. I don't know. I feel like I want to ask somebody and be like, yo, what's the deal with Batcat? Like, why can't they be together? Like, I want to see if he'll answer that question. Because I know him and Mitch are doing like a special Supergirl cover or something like that you could buy, which I've bought in Mitch's stuff in the past. I have his Mr. Miracle one. Depending on how the Supergirl one looks, I might get it. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, Comic-Con, I don't know what's going to be there. Now I'm curious, what if celebrities have other things to promote? Like what if they were doing a comic book? Like Keanu Reeves has a comic book. Can he go to Comic-Con?
He can go to Comic-Con to promote his comic. Yeah. But he can't say anything about his Netflix adaptation about that comic. You know? That would be the difference. Okay. For instance, in that case, I know that there has been several comedic actors who have turned into writers for Marvel. Yeah. They could talk about those comics, but they cannot talk about any TV production that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Comic-Con is going to be very interesting because I tried to get out of it. Comic-Con does have a cancellation cancellation policy before June 1st. And I just realized recently that I was like, I kind of want to go. Would like to save the money, but I cannot get out of that without blowing $600. So I'm like, might as well just go. Even if I don't go to Comic-Con, I can go to fucking San Diego Zoo or do some crazy shit over there in San Diego. So might as well use a vacation out of it. I'm going to preview night because I am a consumer. I like to buy shit. I'm hoping there'll be better anime stuff than there was at Anime Expo. So I'm going to be checking for that. But for the most part, there also is some Batman exclusives that I might buy, maybe turn around, see if I can get a profit on them. Because I know you're like limited to buying like one. So people that can't go to Comic-Con like to buy that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I might, we'll see. I am definitely going for at least one day for sure. But yeah, so going on from that news, a lot of Superman Legacy news has come out. And it is kind of, I don't want to say that I'm negative on it, but I am definitely like worried about it. Because I said, Clay instantly was like, dude, you said something exactly that. I was like, oh, calling out. But I am worried. And I think other people in the Discord too are kind of worried about it as well.
Now, Gunn has reassured a lot of fans with the same, because there's a lot of people. Because the one thing that I said, for people who don't know, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, specifically Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and also Metamorpho are going to be in the Superman Legacy movie. Yeah. And with these announcements, everybody, Juice included, were like, man, you might as well make this a Justice League movie. And I literally said, as soon as Metamorpho was announced, I sent it to a group of my friends. I was like, watch. Next thing you're going to see is people saying, oh, man, this is getting out of hand. Might as well make it a Justice League movie. And literally, not even a minute later, I get a Discord notification with Juice saying, man, this should just be a Justice League movie.
Yeah. Because that's what it feels like. Like, we're not getting castings for other people. Like, because I was thinking when we got some of those castings for Mr. Terrific, right? I saw the photos in Discord. I didn't read the Variety article. So I was all like, oh, because I thought they were going to continue like the Supergirl thing. You know how like, what's his name? Jimmy Olsen was black in Supergirl. I was like, oh, maybe they're continuing that, right? Maybe they want to like convert Jimmy Olsen to being like a black character. And I was like, so that's who Mr. Terrific was. I thought he was going to be like Jimmy Olsen. And I thought they were just hiring like other people like to be because my thing was, I was like, this is gonna be a Superman movie. This is gonna be a Superman movie. We're gonna focus on Superman, and we're gonna, see how he lives in the world. I wasn't expecting 4 Justice League members to be announced, and then everybody's making this joke about Guy Gardner, and I'm like, what the fuck is everybody talking about? So I go to Twitter and I read the article, and it's all like Nathan Fillion is going to be Guy Gardner, and I'm like, what? I'm like, that's such a weird casting. And my thing is like, I instantly think, and it was funny because we had some discourse in the Discord about, I guess people both see Nathan Fillion differently. Some people see him as the funny guy, which is what I do, because everything I see him in, he's usually the funny guy. And other people saw him as a serious actor. And I was just all like, huh? In what? Like, you know what I mean? And so some people are like, this is the perfect casting. And I'm like, I just don't think Nathan Fillion is a super douche, and I need Guy Gardner to be a super douche. And so that's the weirdest casting out of all of them for me.
I also want to just laugh at the fact that I knew this post was coming, but when Nathan Fillion was casted as Guy Gardner, somebody posted James Gunn firing Finn Wittrock as Guy Gardner just to hire one of his friends as is a new low. It's just insane.
Yeah, I saw that too.
It's funny because this all started with the whole idea of James Gunn hiring his wife to be in several movies that he's made. It's just like, that's what people do. Like, if I was a film writer, I would, do everything that I can to, see if I can get a friend, or be like, if I was a director or an actor, be like, oh, hey, you need an extra? Throw this person in here, whatever.
Yeah. Well, James Gunn he's talked about this before, because like he quote tweeted somebody who's being like, somebody was like, for everybody that talks shit about James Gunn casting his friends, look at Nolan, look at Scorsese, look at Spielberg. They all hire the same people. The dude that's in Oppenheimer has been in every Christopher Nolan film, pretty much.
Yeah.
So like so is like Michael Caine is in like a majority of stuff. You can't talk shit on James Gunn because he's hiring his people he knows. When you work with somebody you like, you want to keep working with them, because unless you've been in this industry, granted, we're in a smaller bubble in this industry, some people fucking suck to work with. Like, I have genuinely worked with some people. I'm like, you don't carry your weight. You are just here to try to get the clout. You're not putting in the work. I don't want to fucking work with you. I'm pretty sure that's worse in Hollywood. I'm pretty sure Hollywood's like, I'm just here to be a star. I don't want to fucking do this. Whereas when you find people that you genuinely want to work with, you're going to keep working with them. And that's just James Gunn, like any other director in Hollywood. But because they have the whole Snyder cult and there's all people in Marvel and yada, 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 James Gunn's going to be put on a fucking different pedestal that's on fire. So, like, I don't know. It's really dumb. I didn't, even if it's his friend, I don't care about James Gunn's friends. I just thought the Guy Gardner was a weird casting. Like,
I will say, Nathan Fillion wouldn't have been my first choice for Guy, but he wouldn't be my first choice for Hal. And the reason being is I said in the Discord that Hal Jordan is the leading guy. He's the first Green Lantern of Earth. He's going to need to have a name attached to him when being put onto the big screen. Nathan Fillion is a well-known actor, but in today's time, people who are consuming the most out of, what's coming out in theaters, they're probably not very well versed in what Nathan Fillion has been involved in.
Yeah.
So, and for the longest time, there was rumors of Tom Cruise being Hal Jordan. Don't know if that is, still trying to, be a thing or not. But
it's basically Top Gun with powers.
For real. But that would be the bigger name. That would be the bigger draw to a Green Lantern movie starring Hal Jordan. So that's why I think that is okay. For Nathan Fillion to be Guy Gardner.
I think Guy Gardner would have been Hawk from Titans. Because he can play a douchebag.
Because
I think Rickman.
Yeah,
I don't know. Because I find Guy Gardner as like a built dude. Like, he's got muscle. He's just a douchebag. And if you've ever seen Blue Mountain State, he's a great douchebag.
He is so funny in that show. I think that is I'm pretty sure that was Arwitz's choice for Batman in the DCU.
Oh, I don't know about that. But I think he could probably be a good Red Hood.
Oh, I think so. I think he'd be a cool Red Hood.
I would, but he knows how to do comedy. He knows how to be a douchebag, but he could also be intimidating, which I think Guy Gardner can have his moments.
Yeah, for sure.
My thing is James Gunn has, I think he made this joke that he was like, I just cast him as Guy Gardner to put him in a bowl cut.
Yeah.
The bowl cut makes me scared that he's gonna try to make him funny. And that's what I'm worried about.
I think for me, because the biggest thing of about this, and a lot of people are like, okay, like how much screen time are these people going to be making? Like, is it even going to be worth it? Like, is it going to be too little or is it going to be too much? And Gunn said here, because somebody on Threads asked or said, I'm a little worried to film. I'm a little worried the film will focus too much on setting up other superhero movies. Will the other superheroes have a big impact on the story, or will they just have a small part in the story? I will trust you. You'll do something clever with it, because Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad felt so disconnected from everything else in their respected franchises. And Gunn said, I've never used one movie to set up another movie. The characters are there because they help tell Superman's story. Not so we can set up separate projects in the franchise. Superman and Lois are the very clear protagonists.
Yeah.
So that plus his somebody else had said something to him, and he basically said that, hey, Clark has his world, Metropolis, Lois, Jimmy, Perry White, and then Superman has his world with all the other superheroes in it. So why would I not tell a story with both perspectives? And that makes sense. Because one of the biggest things that we heard, and we've said this before, is that this movie is going to introduce Superman in a world that already has superheroes developed in it. So I think that, yes, you're going to have to see superheroes to understand that that is how this world, this new universe works.
Yeah.
And now you had this theory that, hey, I think you said, a big villain is going to come out. The Justice League is going to attempt to defeat it. They're going to suck at it. They're going to lose. And then Superman's going to save the day. Well, there is a out there grain of salt, idea of what the plot is. Of course, it comes from Grace Randolph. So again, pinch of salt.
Yeah.
It says here, she says, okay, here we go. Superman Legacy is a conflict in the Middle East. Superman wants to stop it one way, and the other heroes disagree. Lex Luthor is also trying to negotiate peace his own way, and the Authority was just a misdirect. It's actually a JSA type team, or actually the actual JSA. And so my friend said, oh, so Gunn's making Black Adam. And I was like, don't say that. Don't ever say that.
I mean, it sounds like that. Why are we always got to make the Middle East the bad guys? You know what I mean? Granted, they got some people over there doing some bad things, but like, it doesn't always got to be the bad guy. It's like when every time they go to Mexico, they put that filter on it. The desert filter. It's like, bro, Mexico's colorful as fuck. Like, nobody knows. Or same thing when they go to like New Mexico. It's like, that's not the way it looks, man. We got blue skies and shit. Like, you gotta always make it look all deserty. So like, I don't understand that. But it's like kind of ridiculous. So I figured, oh, it's Brainiac. Like, you have Brainiac come to the world, and they're just like, oh shit, the Justice League tries to stop them. And they get destroyed. And then Superman's the one that fucking saves the day. I mean, I guess you could do it a little bit. My thing is, I don't want Superman to show up and just show that the other heroes are chump change. You know what I mean? That's what I don't want. Because like, I'm like, oh man, probably there's going to be a galactic problem. They're going to come. Guy Gardner, all these other people can't do anything. and then Superman shows up and beats the shit out of the bad guy, and that's probably how he's introduced, right, into the Justice League world. I wouldn't want that because I want the heroes to be able to hold their own,
Yeah.
But if you're doing some Middle East thing, like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. I don't know what they would be trying to do. Granted, I know Superman's tried to, like, I know, was it a cartoon where he like takes all the nukes out of the world or some shit like that?
No, that was Superman 4.
Was it? I thought there was a cartoon where he takes all the nukes too. Was I wrong about that? Or maybe a comic or something? I don't know. I feel like he's gathered all the nukes before, and I haven't watched the other Superman movies. So
yeah, no, it was Christopher Reeves. Sorry. He in Superman 4, he was like, hey, instead of just like trying to get these people to, humans to, live peacefully amongst each other, I'm just gonna, convince them all to get rid of all the nukes.
Yeah.
And so they get rid of all the nukes. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
He throws them into the sun. Not a very smart choice, but
yeah.
He throws them all into the sun.
Yeah. Kind of probably hit him on another planet or something. But anyways, so yeah, I think I thought it would be something like that. We'll see what happens. It will be very interesting to see how he's introduced into the world with other superheroes. Because yeah, I don't know. Obviously, if there's other heroes already, he would have to know about it. And I mentioned this comment because somebody asked us this later in the questions section. But I had made a comment about the new Superman show on, I don't know how Superman wouldn't be outed in today's day and age with cell phones everywhere.
Yeah.
As a kid. Like, if he's learning how to do his powers and stuff, there ain't no way that you don't see crazy shit happening on a farm. Like, you're just like, where are these lasers coming from? What the fuck? Like, it's just, you don't get away with that. You know what I mean? And that cartoon makes his airplane that crashed fucking massive. I'm like, how did nobody see that? Like, that makes no sense.
I love the show. New episodes are coming out every Friday. And it's next day on Max. So if people don't know that, they can always watch it on Max. It's great. I love the animation style, the new take on the hero. The Sailor Moon transformation was awesome. And is very reminiscent of there's so many Easter eggs already in that show. But in regards to this Superman Legacy, the idea of him, coming in to save the day, Gunn has also confirmed that there is not going to be an origin story for Clark. So we're not going to see Krypton explode. I guess he didn't say that. We won't see his true origin because he said, I feel like we've already seen his origin. And then he also said it won't be a Metropolis origin. It's not going to be his first day at the planet. He's going to be already like a year or two into his career. Okay. So we're just going to be like placed in the middle of this world. But like this, I feel like is a good thing because we're treating it as we are treating how people know Batman. Like everybody knows Batman. Clearly everybody knows Superman. So I think this is a smart move. In regards to the questions and everything else, I guess it moves on to like how the rest of the story is going to be told in sequels and stuff, really. Because I guess you just need to really focus on origins of characters that other people have never heard of before. Like Mr. Terrific. Like, I think you'll need to, sum up something to get his origin story out there. And I don't know if you knew this. The girl who's playing Hawk Girl, do you know who she is?
Dora.
Yeah.
Our Black Panther.
Yeah.
That was our Black Panther. I saw that. And then Mr. Terrific is the guy that everybody called bullshit in X-Men because he was supposed to be able to adapt to everything, and he died.
Yeah,
like everybody called that bullshit.
I can't remember his name in the X-Men comics.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's supposed to literally like adapt to anything and survive. And he ended up dying. And then everybody's like, yeah, he's gonna get such a better chance to be a hero here. I think he's going to do great. I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. I would have probably, if they're not going to, I don't know if they're going to recast Hawkman or not. But I would have made him Mr. Terrific if he wasn't going to be Hawkman again.
Yeah.
Because I think he would have been cool. But I like that I haven't, they did use that dude's photo from X-Men. I don't know how he looks today. So I haven't seen an updated photo because that's what, like 10 years ago. So
yeah, just about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't seen how he looks today. So maybe he looks pretty badass. I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, Superman Legacy, all this information, I was like, what the fuck is happening? I do think the casting for Metamorpho is good. That guy is pretty cool. Before we move on, the one discussion we have that we do disagree about that I want to talk about is you said I was like, I don't think the castings are, the castings are kind of weird. Let me actually talk about what I said exactly. Because you say that they need a big name for Superman Legacy to bring people to the theaters and all that kind of stuff. I said didn't work with Michael Keaton, and you're like, Michael Keaton's not as big as anymore, and you're like, the guy from Barry's pretty big. I disagree. We're in a disagreement on what's big here, but I kind of want to point out, I think I will submit to the theory if Blue Beetle is a success, because I don't think that getting a big name is going to help DC. I just genuinely don't. And Blue Beetle has two really big names in it. Sholo, I forget, Matodwinda, I always forget how to say his last name. He's huge when it comes to, Cobra Kai. Like their audience, that show died on YouTube, and they're like, no, it's so popular, Netflix is going to take it. You know what I mean? So that's huge. They have a big audience. You would think him alone should be able to carry the movie. Then they got George Lopez, who also has another sitcom going on right now, and he's been popular forever. So those are big names. If that movie bombs, I think your theory of the big names thing is bullshit and doesn't work for DC anymore. So,
so are you saying specifically with just DC or
just with DC? No, not in Hollywood in general, because DiCaprio will carry something, Nolan will carry something. Like those names mean something. But in DC, Snyder fans are never going to watch another movie. Like they're just never going. They're going to die in their graves. Yeah, they're going to die in their graves until fucking Snyder comes back somehow. Then you have the Marvel people that are probably like, DC's too dark for me. I need my jokes. They're probably not going to watch anything. And then a lot of people are just burned out on superhero movies. And then you have the little handful of DC people that go and watch the movies, but we're not enough to make the box office do anything. Yeah. So like, my thing is, I don't think a big name can save DC right now. And so that's why I think it doesn't matter. Superman Legacy will be the catalyst to see if DC just needs to go away. Because if that movie fails, Superman Legacy, if it does not do well at the box office, that means nobody can save DC. And we just need to pack it away, put it in a vault for 10 years, and then try again later. Because it's just not going to work.
Yeah, damn.
It's just not going to work. Because I think, we've talked about this a million times on the podcast already, Gunn fucked up with what he said in that video. Like, he fucked up.
But what about our conversation about when all of this was announced? You got to stick to the plan. You got to just push through.
Yes, I agree. You got to push through, and they're going to. But I'm just saying, if James Gunn, because I said from the start, the real show is going to be James Gunn's Superman. Like that is going to be the first test, because I think a lot of people are going to be like, oh, because when that video came out, everybody automatically said, so these 4 movies don't matter. That was the first thing people started saying. They're like, no. He says Flash is going to reset it. We were very optimistic. I'm not optimistic after seeing the ending of the Flash. I'm just like, yeah.
And he did continue this week to tell people, hey, Blue Beetle is, a part of the DCU. This is still an important character.
Yeah. I'll believe it when I see it. Because I don't know if there's going to be an after credit scene there that does something wild. You know what I mean? I don't know what Gunn's doing. Again, he's been very unclear from what he said in that video. He said Flash resets things. Now Blue Beetle's the first character, but it's not a film, and Superman's going to be the first film. Yeah. We already discussed all of that shit. But my thing is if we're assuming Aquaman's going to flop already, right? Because we're hearing so many awful things about it. Yeah. So we're assuming that's going to flop. we didn't think Flash was going to flop as bad as it did. I was thinking, all right, maybe flop, maybe it gets 400, 500 million. Like, I think that'd be a kind of a success, but people were like, it should be $1 billion movie. Didn't get anywhere close to that. So super flop. I hope Blue Beetle breaks out, and I hope Blue Beetle's different, and I hope Blue Beetle, because there's nothing wrong with Blue Beetle right now. Like they're no scandals, no anything crazy. Only thing it could be is like the only people I feel like aren't gonna watch Blue Beetle are people that hate Mexicans. Like that's the only thing that like I'm not watching that movie.
Yeah.
So like that's the only thing. There's no other reason why people shouldn't be interested in watching Blue Beetle unless they don't care about superheroes, which is totally fine. But again, if that movie flops, then what? Like, okay, all right, then we're just gonna be like, okay, it has to be Superman. Superman has to be the new thing. But if we keep getting flops in a row, why do we think it would automatically change with James Gunn? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's my thing. Like, I hope James Gunn, I believe in the vision. I think he's murkying the waters right now. But I never thought these 4 movies were gonna bomb this bad. And so, like, it's hard for me to think that people are just waiting for Superman Legacy and not watching these films. And I just don't know. I don't know. And I don't know the kind of following these new actors have that are coming in. And maybe it'll be a refresh. But I just feel like, I don't know, if people aren't watching these DC films right now, which we've said are pretty decent films. Like Shazam was good. Flash was good. But people are like, no, not going to watch it. It's hard for me to believe that would automatically just change because it's still part of the same universe. Whereas the one thing that has been, or I should say the 2 things that have been successful recently for DC are 2 films that are not connected, which is Joker and the Batman, right? And people are like, oh yeah, these aren't connected to the stuff I don't like. I can go watch this because these aren't shitting on Snyder. This isn't hurting my daddy's legacy. So it's just like, the people will watch those things differently. And then, we're here. I think we talked about it last week or the week before, the splitting the universes. Now you're going to have people being like, oh, I only watch the Reeves verse. I don't watch the Gunn verse. It's just like, that's going to make things worse. So I don't know, man. I think all the eggs will be in the basket for Superman Legacy. They will continue. But I mean, before we did the Gunn thing, what was your like doomsday prediction was like, oh, Zaslav is so bad. This company's going to get sold in 3 years and we're going to restart everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be a possibility too.
That could be a possibility only for the fact that like, if this writers get, because the one thing that we didn't mention in the strike conversation is that these executives are wanting to wait out until October to have any negotiations with the writers.
Yeah.
That's 6 months out from the initial start of the strike. And if they do that, like we need to understand that the first half of 2024, possibly even all of 2024, is going to be very, very limited in the content that is put out there for people to actually consume.
Yeah. A lot of reruns would be all over TV and stuff like that. Advertisers, I want to know how much advertisers can put pressure on executives, because that's where everything comes from, right?
Yeah.
They could be like, hey, pay these fuckers because we want to spend money on shit and we don't want to spend it on reruns. So like, but also at the same time, do studios have the power? They're like, you got products to sell and we got content and we're airing the content. So it's either fucking air your shit or not, So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. I just need Gunn to give me hope with Batman. That's it. Just give me that. I don't give a fuck about anything else. Like, show me who Batman's going to be and explain the fucking ending of the Flash. And I'm back on board. It's just the Flash thing has rubbed me the wrong way the whole time. And I'm just like, fix it, Gunn. But I do think that they're gonna pull through. I do think that we will. I don't know. I do think if if Superman bombs, like if it were to bomb like the Flash, which I don't think it will, but if it were to bomb, I think it puts some of those other projects, if they're not in the works, I think it puts a lot of them in jeopardy. Like Paradise, I feel like Paradise could easily be scrapped. Like they'll just be like, no, we're not gonna do that after all. And maybe like Booster Gold, probably scrap that. And they'll be like, all right, we're only going to go with Swamp Thing because that's James Mangold. We're going to do Batman. We're definitely doing that. And I could see some of those projects get cut if Superman does not do well. Because I think right now Gunn does have a buffer with Zaslav because he probably said, like, look, if we're coming in here, the first film's going to be Superman. Like, that's the first thing you can judge me off of. You can't judge me off of these other films, which I think is a smart play for Gunn. But if Zaslav is Mr. Cutthroat and Gunn doesn't deliver on that first film, I think it can cause him to some questions. He'd be like, hey, man, like, what happened? Like, you were making bank for Marvel. That's what I was paying for. What's going on here, you know? So we'll see, man. But all we can do right now is, I mean, we're going to be talking about this for another 2 years, you know? Here's the thing. We can't even say, just wait until the trailer drops, because a lot of people will go gaga over trailers and don't fucking show up to the theaters for DC.
Yeah.
So it's just like, we'll never know until that movie is out, which is 2 years from now. So, you know, it fucking sucks. We'll be talking about it for another 2 years. But moving on from that, now this is, I think, another grain of salt rumor, right?
Yeah.
This Huntress Foreign Film. I believe you said they're looking at people from Korea for this, or what was the purpose of this?
So this comes from DCEU leaks. So again, grain of salt. It says, as we tease in our AMA, we can exclusively report that a Huntress film is in early development for the DCU. There is a twist, however, and that twist is that this is a foreign language film. The film will be in Korean, and DC Studios is looking for a Korean director. It says here also, this information predates my time to shine, as it was teased before. It was likely a guess on their part also, since we had ruled out Black Canary and they weren't aware of that twist. Now, I will say DC EU leaks is very, very spotty. Mm-hmm. Again, grain of salt. They are more misses when it comes to things like this. But the concept, you said something very interesting when I posted this into the Discord. You said that if it is true, this is clearly something that WB and DC Studios is doing in order to bypass the writers and the actors strike.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting take.
Yeah, so there was an article that came out not too long ago. It's probably been a few weeks now, but that Netflix has been diving a lot into the Korean market to still get content done. Because they had success with Squid Game, right? They're doing the Squid Game reality show. They're doing Squid Game 2. And they're like, well, why not? Let's just dive into that market. It's probably cheaper, you know? I'm assuming that's another reason why they're doing that too, because they don't have to deal with all the, like, you know, unions and all that stuff in America. So, like, why don't we just pay, you know, Korean studios to do our content for us, because people are loving it. I've watched some streamers. Some streamers have mentioned how, like, their partners or whatever are only watching these Korean dramas on Netflix. So that's like a big part of their revenue now. So maybe DC is seeing that and they're like, oh, we can bypass these union things because technically the Korean studios are not a part of SAG and all these other kind of things. So one, I think the concept is interesting. Like, you know, a superhero in a different country. Like, I'm curious on how they get to America or how they're even tied to DC or anything like that. Huntress, I do feel like, is one of those characters you could just kind of change that origin and it'd still be Huntress, you know? I don't know how she would get to America, or I don't know what would be the case on how she would work with Batman or go to Gotham or whatever. Maybe if we are going with Huntress's, like, original origin where her family is murdered, you know, the whole Bertinelli thing, you could have her become Huntress in Korea, and the person she needs to kill is in Gotham. And maybe they go to Gotham eventually, you know? That could be something. And so you could have her whole film, like, her hunting people down, and then it ends with, like, oh, the guy you're looking for isn't here. Like, he's moved to America. And then it just kind of hints at, like, oh, I need to go to Gotham now. And maybe that's how she crosses paths with Batman. Could do some shit like that. But I wouldn't mind it. I think that would be kind of cool to have, like, an actress. I mean, shit, give me that chick from Squid Game, the main female. Make her Huntress. Bada bing, bada boom. I do think that this might be, I don't know if she's Korean, but James Gunn's friend, Palmy, or what's her name? I could see her being Huntress. So maybe, you know, because she was the cutesy person in Guardians, maybe she wants to be a badass, and Huntress could be the badass. So
that would be pretty cool. Now, she did tease, because she is currently on the press tour for Mission Impossible, the part 1 of this final movie. She has said that her and Gunn have been talking about her role in the DCU. So
yeah.
it is very clear that she is going to be a part of it.
Yeah. But will she be a part of something he's doing? That's why I kind of thought she might be Lois Lane. But they could went a different route there. So I'm curious if it's something he will do or he will be a part of, or if she's just like, he'll just bring her into the studio. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very curious on where they're going to go with it. I think it's cool. I mean, DC did say they want to just make good films, right? So I think that'll hopefully be the saving grace, even if the universe gets kind of convoluted with storytelling. I think if you give me good films, I'm always down for good films. But it does seem kind of interesting. But I do feel like that's kind of a way to bypass. They're like, we need to get something out. Like, if we're gonna if the studio secretly does have in their mind, they're like, we're waiting till October to even negotiate or start negotiations. That means this thing could go till, because October is really close to Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? So like, I doubt they're gonna want to negotiate during the holidays. So they're gonna be like, we'll just wait for the holidays to pass and we'll pick this up in January. Like, that's crazy, because Superman Legacy is supposed to start filming in January. So, I'm very interested to see where that goes. But I could see the Korean market being a way to bypass everything that's kind of going on in America. At least it seems like what Netflix is doing. And Zaslav kind of gives off the vibe that, if he's like, I can find it somewhere else, I'll go somewhere else. Might be interesting to do like Asian Superman in Japan or wherever he's actually located. That'd be kind of cool. Do some of those kind of characters. Because I don't know. I think might be pretty awesome. By the way, did you see the Godzilla -1 trailer?
Dude,
that looks way more interesting than any Godzilla we've ever got.
Yeah. It's so I will say this. The overseas Godzilla movies, their Godzilla looks so silly when you see them, because like, especially now with the modern technology, they use more CGI instead of like the original suit that they used to use for Godzilla. But it is unhinged, and it's like, hey, this is how terrifying Godzilla should be, and that's how they perceive him. Especially in this -1 teaser trailer, whatever, it looks wild.
I like Godzilla being the villain. At least that's how it feels here. Granted, I think he's always a hero, right? Because he does face Mothra and stuff. But like, as a human, as a bug, is what we would be to Godzilla. I'd be like, fuck both of these monsters. Like, what the fuck? My house. Like,
And recently they've been portraying Godzilla as like, so originally, classically, he's like this green reptilian thing, but I don't know if it has to do anything with like the actual storytelling of the movies. But like the last one, he was like black and red and like cracks all over him, and like his freaking fire breath was like purple and shit. Like it went wild. And this one, he's more like corroded and like grayish, like he has like a brown like dirt tone to him. It looks crazy.
Yeah, just a teaser. We reacted to it on the stream last night, and it looks pretty cool. And I gotta say, like, because I know I mentioned this before, I thought it was terrible the way they made the guy say it in the American Godzilla movie. But the way Japanese people say Godzilla, but in English, sounds so much cooler than Americans saying Godzilla. Like, it just seems cooler. And I'm just like, because when the female actress narrates Godzilla -1, it just sounds dope. It just seems like an anime. I'm just like, damn, that's awesome. But no, it looks cool. Like, I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. Are we getting that in America though?
If we do, it'll be a Fathom event. Usually how it goes is they'll have a pretty significant run overseas. Which, by the way, there is a theater inside of a mall in Japan that has a giant prosthetic Godzilla head.
Yeah.
It looks wild.
Yeah. It's like one of the things that you can go do. I think it's like across from a karaoke bar too, and I think I've seen people go to the karaoke bar.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Fucking Japan's definitely on my list of traveling one day. But anyways, that was cool. What'd you think of the Wonka trailer? Kind of lame.
It's Timothy Chalamet is super cringy.
Right? That's what I thought too.
He has this because for one, the very first line in the trailer is a direct quote from the original movie. It's like, stop that, reverse it. And it's just like, no, just like stop it there.
Yeah.
I'm ending this trailer. This needs to go in the trash. And a lot of people have said this looks like a High School Musical play. Like it looks like it's built on a theater stage, and not like in an actual studio.
Yeah. I never thought that they could make the Depp version look more entertaining, which is crazy. Because at least the Depp version was like he leaned into the craziness of Wonka, and because you weren't gonna beat oh my god, I'm forgetting his name, the original
Wilder.
Yeah, you weren't gonna beat him. So like you have to go wacky, right? Which is Depp's forte. So and like in the chat, because obviously I have a younger audience, or they're younger than me. They were like, I grew up on the Depp version, so that's my Wonka, and I was like, ew. But
it's wild, man.
You know, that's how it is, right? Like there are people that love the Star Wars prequels over the OG ones because it's what they grew up on, right? So yeah, I did think it was kind of wild, but yeah, that trailer was, I didn't like it. I was just like, you. Also, I don't like prostitute guy being the fucking Oompa Loompas.
Oh, freaking.
Yeah, that's what I said. Everybody's like, why are you calling him prostitute guy? I was like, because I know him of getting caught with a prostitute in LA. Like that's how I know him. But I forget his name. He's in a bunch of romance type movies. He's a British guy.
He was really big into the romantic comedies back in the early 2000s. Recently he was in Dungeons and Dragons. I can't remember his name.
I just typed in like prostitute Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
But that's how I know him. I remember being a kid and seeing the scandal because it happened in 95. So I'm like 7 years old. And like, it's like, oh yeah, Hugh Grant busted with prostitute. I'm like, what's that? You know what I mean? And so that's burnt into my mind, which I just find fucking funny. But yeah, Wonka looks weird. Although I saw the Ahsoka trailer. That shit looks dope.
Dude, it is.
I don't watch Star Wars shows.
I will tell you this trailer. You watched the one from yesterday or from this week
with the fucking white lightsabers and everything.
Yeah. I will tell you this. That trailer this week was the best trailer Lucasfilm has put out in their entire revamp of Star Wars.
Yeah,
it was a great trailer.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, that's the first Star Wars show I want to watch. But I also like Rosario Dawson. She's cool. Yeah. But yeah, that looked fire. Oh, and the funny thing was, it has nothing but hot girls in it. And I was like, I want to watch this. Like, what the fuck? I was like, this is how they're getting me to watch Star Wars. Because like the Sith chick was hot, the fucking pilot was hot, Rosario Dawson's hot. Like, I'm just like, what the hell?
Do you know who the pilot is?
No.
It's Huntress, Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
No.
Yeah, the green Twi'lek.
Oh, the green one. Okay, that makes sense. She had a lot of prosthetics. I meant the Asian pilot.
Okay, yeah.
The one that had pink hair and she cuts it.
Yeah. The character's name is Sabine.
Yeah. I was just like, so yeah. Well, that makes it even hotter if it's Winstead. Fuck yeah. Like, damn. But yeah. Well, I see every time I see a green person, I think Kid Fitzstew. Like, I always just think that's him. So like, that's just how it always goes. But yeah, which was funny. We were playing Star Wars Battlefront recently. Clay got back into it too recently. And Mel was like, Kid Fitzstew is the most underrated Jedi.
I mean, she's not wrong.
I was like, I only know him because every time I went to go buy Star Wars toys, his was there.
Yeah.
Because nobody bought him, which was sad. But yeah, anyways, cool trailers coming out recently. By the way, if anybody's asking, I'm back on my I'm not watching trailers grind, so we're not talking about Blue Beetle. So yeah, I didn't watch it. I'm not watching it.
I will say this: it shows a villain.
Mm-hmm.
So just be prepared if you see something.
Gotcha.
It's probably real.
All right. But yeah, from that we are going on to listener questions, ladies and gentlemen. We got a few in the Discord this week. First up, we got Bats. Did you guys watch My Adventure with Superman? If so, what are your thoughts on the show and the character design of Slade? Okay, I only saw the first 2 episodes. Have I seen Slade yet?
Yes, you have.
Okay.
Because there was only 2 episodes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if the third one had came out yet.
So the third one does not come out until from the time we're recording this tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm assuming Slade doesn't have his mask on, and he's the one that fights the girl.
He's the pretty boy.
With
the baton.
Okay, that guy. So the one that basically he goes to meet her, right?
Yeah.
And she like shocks him or whatever. I didn't know it was fucking Slade. So I'll say that. Because I didn't catch his name. I didn't remember.
It took a lot of people like a second viewing to be like, oh shit, that was Slade.
I don't ever remember Slade working with Waller before either. So
well, he has been in the Suicide Squad before.
I guess I mean New 52, right?
In New 52,
yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And they did this very anime clever thing. Instead of an eye patch, his hair is over one eye.
I didn't even pay attention.
Yeah.
Makes sense though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't know that was Slade. Pretty crazy. I've seen both of the first 2 episodes. Pretty interesting. Very definitely skews more towards kids. But I like it. I think it's cool. I like that his mom gave him the underwear. I thought that was funny because it actually gives a reason. Because she's like, it's missing something.
Yeah.
And so like I like that she's the one that like kind of is like you need a belt. You need something different.
Belt, the shorts, as people like to call them as well. I really dug this show. Of course, I'm a huge Superman fan.
Yeah.
A lot of my friend group that I was in, or that I am in, everybody was like, not for me, not for me, not for me.
Really?
And a lot of them don't watch anime. And I was like,
normies.
As soon as like I think like by the third one, I was like, oh, so I'm gonna fucking love this show. And they're like, why? I was like, because it's the most anime tropey DC show we're probably gonna get in a long time. Of course, until we get the isekai with Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved all of it. From the very beginning where you see him saving the car, learning how to fly for the first time.
Yeah.
It's very tropey with, of course, what Superman is, but also I think Jack Quaid, of course, from The Boys, is a great Clark Kent. He plays him perfectly. Like I said earlier in the episode, there is a ton of Easter eggs in just these 2 episodes.
Yeah.
There is a ton of names that are from, of course, the writers of Superman that have been put into the show. I think there was like Jurgen's name was dropped in there. I think Tomasi was also. There's a reference to Superman Earth 1 with the when Clark suits up for the first time and he has like the hood. It's like the firefighter outfit. It's a reference to Superman Earth 1. Yeah, it's just overall really, really fun. I really enjoy it. And like you said, it is aimed towards kids. But I mean, in all honesty, a lot of anime kind of has shonen is family friendly. I'm not going to say kid oriented. I'm going to say family friendly. And that's what this is.
Yeah, because I do like the goofiness. I like how Lois is very perky. She's not, because a lot of Lois, and again, this does seem like a younger Superman, a younger Lois, a younger Jimmy Olsen. I'm talking about like maybe like 20 years old. I kind of get the vibe straight out of college kind of thing. Or in college, I should say. And so they are very young, and it's not like hard ass Lois. You know what I mean? Like hard ass, like she's very perky, she's likable. And I'm like, okay, I like this. She's very charming. Even though she's not, and she's also not perfect, is what I like. Is because I always get a vibe that Lois Lane is a perfect person. You know what I mean? When I read a lot of Superman, still don't know how she operated the Bat death suit or whatever it's called. because she should have died. But that's
Hellbat.
like kind of crazy. Hellbat, there you go. But yeah, I like her in the show. In case you're curious, if you're a degenerate, yes, there's already R34 stuff of this. I've already seen it. It came across quick. Somebody, look, is what I saw. It was Superman, and they had Lois from this show and Lois from the old show. And I was like, all right. That's what they did. It happens quick. I'm telling you, they make a show. R34 is already on it. But anyways, I enjoy the show. I think it's cool. Again, the reason why when the news came out for the Superman Legacy castings, I thought Jimmy Olsen was going to be black. They made him black in this show. And it fits. I don't understand why some people, I think if a character is good, the race doesn't matter. Like this, I love this Jimmy Olsen. He's goofy. He's like aliens. And like, he's just really like, it's got to be supernatural. And he's trying to do like he's trying to do like an online personality where he's mystery. Yeah. Like, I love it. Like, I think the character of Jimmy Olsen is really cool. Whereas you can correct me if I'm wrong. The other one seems kind of like quirky and like to himself a lot. And like, hey, Clark, you know what I mean?
Quirky to himself. There, like he is usually portrayed as somebody who kind of feels stuck as a photographer. Mm-hmm. So like in the 90s in the comics, that's why you see Jimmy Olsen get a lot of different like odd jobs. That was kind of like the ongoing joke for writers and artists. Mm-hmm. Where it was like, okay, what can we do to like have Jimmy Olsen try to make money? Yeah. And famously, he also was like a part of like a kids program and like had to wear like a turtle outfit and stuff. You'd have to just go and look at it. But it was kind of like, hey, I'm a struggling intern that's trying to, make his mark in the world type of thing. Whereas this one, he is trying to make his mark in the world, but he has his identity in check. It's just like, hey, I'm who I am. I'm really interested in aliens and all of this other stuff. And I do like it.
Yeah, and his goofy personality and being obsessed with aliens sets up for that genuine episode when he finds out Clark's an alien. Yeah. Right? Because he's going to be like, you're who I've been looking for, And I'm curious on how they'll handle it. Will he be cool with it? Like, he'll be like, okay, cool, Because, like, it's always nice when people are just, like, accepting and it doesn't matter. Like, they don't make a big deal. They're like, awesome, you're an alien. That's cool, Or is he going to be like, you've been lying to me about being an alien? You can go down the friendship route and like, you've been lying to me this whole time. Like, there's a lot of good ways they can go down with it, which I think is pretty cool.
And I also want to say, like, a lot of people are turned off by the quirkiness and like how bright it is. It has its anime tropes. Yeah. And we are already dealing with Task Force X. Yeah. So I can already tell that there are going to be dark story elements into this show. Yeah. So I think you shouldn't be worried about that. So just have fun with it.
Yeah. I will say, I was trying to think, I was like, why does it feel like anime, but it looks nothing like anime? And I think it's because American cartoons don't do a lot of shading.
Not too much. If you want to see a show that is very similar to this, if you have Netflix, there is a show called Voltron. The Netflix original Voltron is almost like identical to this animation, and that is in my top 10, if not my top 5 animated shows of all time.
Yeah. I've never seen it, but like, that's the one thing I was like, it does feel very anime, but it looks like they didn't try with the animation, which is weird because, and I think because anime has so much shading, it has so much different types of textures.
It's very 2D. It's very flat.
Yeah. And so that's what I was trying to that's what I came to a conclusion. I was like, why does this feel so off? But other than that, I think the show is solid. I can't say I'll watch it like every week, but I'm interested to keep watching it. But I was interested to keep watching Harley Quinn, and I still haven't caught up on that. So,
which also something that we didn't talk about. Season 4 was announced with a release date already.
Oh, really? Well, is it one of those things where they cut it in half again, so they already had it done?
I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know how the season ended, so I don't know if it was like that, because that's how season 1 and 2 were technically supposed to be all of season 1, if I'm not mistaken. So they just split it into 2. So I don't know if they did that again, but yeah, Harley Quinn, that's cool. I mean, I would assume they probably would have talked about it at San Diego Comic-Con, but probably not anymore. So going on from that, next question we have from Arwitz. After watching The Flash, out of Bale, Ben, Robert, and Michael, in which order are their Batman coming out of the fighting ring? Loser to winner? Like who's winning out of all of these?
Yeah. So at the bottom, the
Okay.
first one, who's the ultimate loser of this fight?
Oh, Bale.
I
His
would say
fighting was shit.
Bale.
Yeah. Bale. Then I'm going Pattinson.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going Keaton and probably Ben.
Yep.
So
That's the
only
exact same
yeah.
that I put.
Only reason why I think Keaton doesn't make it is because he's older.
Yeah.
You give me prime Keaton, probably
But
beats.
just like Arwitz is saying, after the Flash, like we saw like
That's true.
prime Keaton fighting.
Yeah.
Like almost on par to Ben, but of
Yeah.
course Ben is probably at his peak with how fit he is and how much younger he is compared to Keaton.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I would put Ben on top.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's it. I mean, my biggest gripe with the trilogy, with the Nolan trilogy, was the fighting. The fighting was boring. And again, I mean, I almost fell asleep during Robert Pattinson's movie, so I can't say the fighting, made it. Because again, the one thing that they did with the Batman, because I got asked this last night, they're like, "Yo, Juice, have you gave the Batman another chance?" I've tried on 2 different occasions, man, and I turn it off because I'm just not interested.
Yeah.
I think maybe I'll go back and watch certain scenes, but the whole movie, like, I just can't. That's so long. But Robert Pattinson, all his fight scenes were like wide shots, and I'm like, this is boring. And I'm like, dude, like, I think he could have benefited from the typical action cutting away scene and hitting, but it just didn't. It didn't really work. Like, it was just kind of boring to me. But maybe they'll learn to be better in the second film. But who knows?
Yeah.
Moving on to King. We're gonna go with King's first question here because it is a 1-question limit. Everybody. King says, do you think Nathan Fillion is a good cast for Guy Gardner? Now, I had said this in the Discord, and I think I talked about this on my stream as well. I don't have a problem with the casting. I think it's weird. I think you could have made a bunch of different terrible choices in this regard. Wouldn't have been my first choice, like Clay mentioned as well. But I'm just curious on how Gunn is going to treat Guy Gardner. Are we going to get the douchey Guy Gardner, which is how I've kind of always known Guy? Now, granted, I haven't read every Green Lantern comic. I'm not a huge Green Lantern fan, so maybe I'm completely wrong on how I view Guy. But I've always seen him as a douchey guy. He's always getting punched out. He's always doing something I think is douchey. But I also feel like I know Nathan Fillion as a funny guy. So is he going to be treated as a funny guy? And that's what I'm worried about. Like, I just feel like my mental image of Guy Gardner might be ruined if he's treated as funny, So
I think that I'm not gonna say Fillion is a chameleon when it comes to acting. Because I think it was Jan in the Discord that was like, oh, well, like, I don't really see Fillion as the funny guy. And I was like, then you haven't seen Fillion in anything that he's been in. Castle, he was funny. But he's also been serious in Castle. You look at Firefly.
Is Nevik. Right? Nevik
was it Nevik that said it? Okay.
Yeah. Jan said, to be honest, I have the head shape of Guy Gardner. Okay.
That's hilarious. No, but then you look at right? Is it Firefly? Is the TV show
that he was really popular on Will Whedon?
Yeah. He was serious there. He was the captain of that crew, but he also had comedic moments.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at the animated stuff that Fillion has done for Hal Jordan. He was serious because he is the space cop, but he had moments of comedic relief. Mm-hmm. So he can play that role. And I think with Guy Gardner, I think he can play the douche.
Yeah.
But I think with Guy Gardner, he's a hothead. He's not just a douche, he's a hothead.
Yeah.
And I think that I think Fillion can play that role.
Okay.
But it all depends on how much screen time he has. Because if it's something that is just like, if he's in Superman's face and saying like, hey, you're the new guy, like that's totally Guy Gardner. Like that's enough. Like you don't really need a whole lot of screen time to be like, he was the perfect choice, Yeah. So I think it all depends on how he's gonna fill out the role. Of course, we know that Green Lantern is having a series on Max.
Mm-hmm.
We're not entirely sure how all of that is going to roll out. I can't even remember what the description was or if it was involving Guy Gardner anymore. But like it'll be interesting to see how far Fillion takes the role.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I know a lot of people just want to see him get punched in the face. I think you wait until a Justice League movie for that. You do not do that in any movie besides a big movie where he actually, because you gotta build up the douchiness to where you're just like you're waiting for him to get punched in the face, and then when he finally gets punched in the face, everybody goes crazy. You can't do it in the first movie. So
yeah, I think that for one, I think he will be the hothead douchey, finger in face for Superman in this movie, in Superman Legacy. Then he has to show up in the Green Lantern series, again being the hothead, finger in face, I'm the best, type of character.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, build it up to the point where people are just like, I've had enough of you, dude. Like somebody needs to lay you out and like just have Superman smack him one, dude. It's gonna feel so good.
Yeah. I do think if James Gunn is going to be a part of Green Lanterns in any way, he's going to use Nort. Like,
probably,
you know, because he likes those goofy characters, and he'll probably be played by his brother. So, what if he gave Dave Bautista Kilowog? I'm curious on how that would go. He's a big guy.
He is a big guy, but it's again either realist. He's practical prosthetics would be kind of hard for Kilowog, or it's a CG character, and I think that Batista has gotten to a point where he wants to be on screen, and he's been wanting to like really envelop his acting skills. So I honestly don't know if he's going to take his chance on the DCU.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I know he's in Dune. I said this on the podcast, not on the podcast, on the stream last night. I don't know what people see in Dune. It looks boring as hell to me.
It's a niche group of individuals.
Yeah.
Dune has always had this cult following because of the book franchise. And the book is fucking massive.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many pages it is. But like I haven't even thought about like buying it on Audible because I knew it would take forever to even finish listening to it. Yeah. So it's just this weird group of people.
I don't think I own it physically. I do have it on Audible, and that is a fucking long read. The It book itself is massive. I've seen it at half price before, and I was like, I should buy this. And I'm like, holy fuck, this thing is... It's like as thick as like the Injustice Omnibus. Like, it's huge. Like,
damn.
Yeah, it is. It's a very thick book. But yeah, I don't know. I do think, if they go that route with Guy Gardner, I think it'll be pretty cool. But we'll see what happens. Moving on from that, we're going over to YouTube now. We got Moncray. What male Batman villain would you marry if you had to? Yes, including wedding, honeymoon, adopting, and growing old together. If you're reading this comment, try to post a lewd question for the... I tried to post a lewd question for the 200 bit. Here's the thing. We kind of answered this before with which villain you would bang, and I said Clayface. Kind of a cop-out answer, but he could be whoever I want. Yeah. He'd be whoever I want. And so yeah, I don't know. I'd go Clayface, Cop-out answer. If I had to pick somebody that's not Clayface, because I feel like people are like, oh, of course Juice is taking that. If I wanted something exciting, because look, if you're marrying a villain, it's probably not going to last that long. At least Joker would be fun. I might die. But...
it does say wedding, honeymoon, adopting kids, and then growing old together. So you have to take the scenario all the way until death do you part.
And then I'm going Clayface. So,
I'm
trying to think of who. They said male villain. Who would be interesting? If you want a normal life, you go Condiment King.
Well, no, I would say if you want a little bit of a normal life, you go Kite Man.
Oh do we consider him a villain anymore?
I would say so. He's not like a super villain, but he's a villain.
I mean, he could be more of an anti-hero. He did help Batman in Tom King's run, which is the last time I think we've seen him.
Yeah, he has not shown up at all since then.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Mothman might be a good shout. Getting a good life, comfy life. He's not really in danger much.
True.
You know, you have a cat if you're a cat person. And he had a nice pad. So like Mothman could be, you know, not a bad shout. I'm trying to think of somebody else. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go with somebody that could beat my ass. That's definitely somebody I don't want to do with. But I'm gonna go with Clayface because you know what? On a good day, you know, I think you get whoever you want. Multiple of you want if you want to.
I'm trying to think. You know what? Because he was a family man, I'm gonna say Deadshot.
Oh, interesting. He was kind of a good family man, opposed to Slade, who was a bad family man. I'm trying to think of anybody else. If I got with Bane, gonna go to a lot of luchador matches, which would be pretty interesting. And he's kind of turning around to be a better guy. He's trying, you know, that's admirable. I'm always gonna go with Clayface there. But anyways, moving on to the next one from Cody. I take what Grace Randolph says with a grain of salt. Now, here's the thing. I've said this on the podcast before. I pretty much forget what we talk about on the podcast after we're done recording it. So what the fuck did we talk about Grace Randolph in the last episode?
In the last episode?
Was it another rumor?
Oh, man, I can't remember.
Yeah. I would say if you guys reference something from the podcast that we said, try to give us a little description of what you're referring.
Say like give the quote and then say like, hey, don't believe this because it was from Grace Randolph.
Yeah.
But all honesty, like you need to remember James Gunn's words. James Gunn was famously the one on Twitter that was like, it was like a haiku. He said something, and remember, Grace Randolph is always full of shit.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when my friend had posted the screenshot saying, oh, so like with her description of what the plot is, and then he said, oh, so he's making Black Adam, like, I'm not going to take that to heart because it's from Grace Randolph.
Yeah.
She can have, you know, her hits every once in a while.
Yeah. Broken clock is right twice a day.
Exactly. Yeah. And honestly, because let's face it, I mean, it's also Flash is going to be already available to purchase for physical media and on demand in 2 weeks.
It comes out on. Well, okay, so it comes out a week before. No, actually,
on the 28th. It's the 28th. So
doesn't it hit streaming on the 16th? I thought it hit streaming pretty soon.
Oh, is it hitting streaming pretty soon already?
I thought it was the 16th.
16th is a Sunday, though. That would be kind of weird. Oh, well, Sunday is usually max drops. So that's true.
Sunday is usually Game of Thrones and shit, too. So
yeah. So that makes sense. But yeah, physical media for the Flash is already coming out.
I'll be buying that.
On 28th.
I bought Black Adam. So, I mean, I kind of support DC. I haven't bought Shazam, though. I don't think I have. Which that was so good, man. That was so. I hate that people. Everybody admitted that it was good after they fucking bombed. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next thing from Jason Todd. What male Batman baddie is the most smashable if gender bent? So taking a male character and making them female. Mine is Croc and Bane. Fight me.
Well, Bane already has his daughter, which is basically the gender bent of him.
Yeah. Croc would be very furry-esque, kind of.
I was gonna say, Jason, you're sounding a little bit like a furry over here.
So we've seen Joker twice as a female. He's hot as fuck. But if you want to get really spicy, I'd go with gender bent Two-Face. You got naughty and nice. So,
well, that would be like in the movie. He has the side pieces. Yeah. Which one of them is what's her name? From
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
So yeah, I'd go with a little naughty and nice Two-Face. So because Because they're not gonna go like ugly face. It's just gonna be like it's gonna be naughty and nice. It'd be like one like all black clothing, half and white. So I'd go with that.
I would go.
Or who else? Let's see.
Gender.
Because Slade has his daughter. Like his daughter's there. Like she's already kind of a female Deathstroke. Who else would be kind of?
I'm trying to think if there's any like of the gang members that would be like.
I don't know. I mean, like even Zuko if you gender, if you gender bend Batman, he's hot as fuck. They did that in the multiverse.
Oh yeah. With the Aquaman or the Aquaman gender bent story. Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think you gender bend any. It's weird like that. You gender any bend of the guys, and they're just automatically hot. Like it's crazy. So I'm gonna go Two-Face just for the naughty and nice kind of thing. So.
I'm gonna, you know what? Just the same way. Oh, this is gonna be scary. I don't know if I would want to choose. I was gonna say Blockbuster, but that might be kind of scary.
Oh God, I mean that's like Lady Dimitrescu right there. You know. So hey man, Lady Dimitrescu ruined me all day. So I'm done with that. Moving on to Alexis Barrera. If DC and Marvel were to do an amalgam crossover again to get more people into buying comics, what two characters should be merged like Batman and Wolverine? Mine is Red Hood and Winter Soldier, Brainiac and Ultron, or Harley Quinn and Gwenpool. Oh my God, that last one would be fucking awful. Gwenpool and Harley Quinn, like them separately are too much in their own books.
So Gwenpool, you need to understand, Gwenpool is not from our Earth. She is from a comic book world that has comics in it. So that's why she knows about Deadpool and Wolverine and all of the Marvel characters. And so when she was pulled into that universe, she's like, oh, I have all the knowledge of all of these heroes. So I think that would be a little too meta for me. But I could see it happening, to be honest.
Well, Harley Quinn also destroyed the DC universe, so she's kind of like that too. So
yeah. I like the Brainiac Ultron. Red Hood and Winter Soldier, they're basically the same characters. So I get that. I have always said I want a Nightwing Daredevil comic. So I think that would be kind of cool.
What would their name be? Devil Wing?
Devil Wing, Night Devil.
Let's see. I'm gonna go just for the name. I'm gonna go Punisher Deathstroke, Punisher Stroke. Like, oh my God, he got killed by Punisher Stroke. Like, what the fuck? What are you into, man? So because they would be fucking deadly as crazy, you know, it'd be insane. By the way, talking about buying more comics, I feel like with the 200th episode, I should also make this announcement that I have officially closed my sub box at my local comic shop. No longer buying floppy books. Doesn't mean I'm not shopping there anymore, although they are moving far away from me, even farther away from me. So I don't know how much I'll be going there, but I do have some orders that I still have to fulfill. But I have talked about on this podcast many a times that I think floppies need to go away. We need to move to a digital and graphic novels only. So now I'm putting my foot where my mouth is and no longer jumping into the floppy game. They're just taking up too much space, man. I literally just made a new little shelf. I don't know if you can see it back there, Clay, under my desk. There's like a new little shelf.
Oh, yeah.
That shelf is being held up by 2 fucking comic boxes, and I just have all my manga on top of it. Like, I just made them into shelves. They're just legs for shelves now because there's so many boxes that I have that I'm just like, what do I do with these things? And those are probably the 2 boxes that I'll actually keep for a while. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm no longer buying the floppies, and I'm only going to hardcover stuff because I'm tired of buying bags and boards, man. Like, it's just too much. I haven't opened those boxes in so long. I took one day to organize them, and I was like, I never want to do this again. So, yeah. Moving on from that, we got Nathan who says, heard about your lackluster time at the Expo, Juice, but what if DC had its own Expo? What would it need to be hype/successful? Also, what would be in the 18+ section? P.S. You guys should take a look at the Blue Beetle memes where fans are taking marketing into their own hands. It's hilarious. That's cool. I haven't seen any Blue Beetle memes.
I don't know if you saw this post at all, but recently Tom Cruise had like his like purchase ticket, and he like went to Oppenheimer and he went to Barbie, right? And then Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie had their ticket to go see Mission Impossible. Well, people have photoshopped the poster behind Greta and Margot and put Blue Beetle, and so like they're going to go see Blue Beetle. Then there was like the set photo for Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, people have been photoshopping Blue Beetle in that photo also.
Nice.
And so we've talked about this before. DC and WB's marketing is trash. They hardly do anything with it, and it's up to the fans to throw these things out there. Which I know some companies are like, oh, free marketing, awesome. It's not big enough. We don't have the resources that these giant companies do. So it's not going to be, the success that you think it is. Because there's always that term, right? Oh, it'll market itself. You not with the track record you have, man.
Unless it's a product you can use in your everyday life. That's the only way it markets itself. I don't think a movie does. Because, dude, they jammed the Flash down our throats, and that went nowhere. So, like, I had to dive out of my room to not see the trailer sometimes. Like, it's just, it sucked. But, like, I don't know. I'm glad that fans are trying to take it into their own hands, but it's not good enough. Like, they need to put some money behind it. And I posted this in the Discord that a lot of people, I saw somebody tweet that they were like, if DC doesn't start posting marketing stuff by Sunday, then they're just going to Shazam this movie too, because it's a month out. And I'm just like, God damn, I didn't know it was that fast already, which is crazy. But I mean, what's going to be in the 18 plus section? You're going to have some guy on guy stuff. You're going to have some girl on girl stuff. You're going to have Harley Quinn banging Batman. You're going to have everything. Like, that's what it is. If it's like the Anime Expo, it's just going to be people with the titties out. Like, that's all it's going to be. It ain't going to be anything great. But like, there'd be a lot of that. I mean, it's the stuff you find on R34. That's what you would find in the section. What would make it hype? Just think about fandom, but in live, in real life, right?
And we said this when fandom was first a thing. Our predictions were, hey, if this thing keeps going after COVID, after the shutdown, they'll probably make it a live event. Just like how Disney and Marvel and all of their other Lucasfilm and everything else, they have D23. And their event. So do I think that, currently DC and WB, they are in so much debt. Especially now after the flop of Flash, they're losing $200 million. So are they going to make fandom a live event? No, clearly. Do I wish that they still were? Yes. Because I think that they need that. Just for the fact that, like, we had seen through COVID and a couple years after that, like, Comic-Con was not really a big thing. Almost like in video game news, E3 is all but dead. Like, it is genuinely all but dead. And I thought that's how Comic-Con was going to go. But, clearly it's still going. I think eventually it will get back to where it is, or what it was. And, for me, I really do hope that eventually DC Studios will have their own event, because with animation, with TV, with movies, and also with comics on their side as well, I think they have enough content to have their own convention.
No, I think, and then you could have a small little expo hall to sell stuff. You could bring vendors out, like, oh yeah, you want to sell comics, you want to sell, toys, figures. I think you do a convention that showcases everything you do, right? You have panels for the video games, and you just make it like a day thing. I think. Like, you know, we're only gonna do it for a day, and you know, it's all day. You come check it out, and that's it. That way you save. You don't have to pay for the whole weekend or anything like that. And I think you showcase new movies. You should showcase new like animations, new projects, new things you're going to be working on. You showcase, you know, and then like products like, you know, oh yeah, clothes, freaking, because DC is everywhere. And so I think that's kind of how you go about doing it. And I think they should do something like that. I think that would be really cool. And even if you were to do it like bi-yearly, or I don't know if that's kind of how that's properly said, but like every other year, I think that would work. Because that's how D23 is, right? It's every other year.
Yeah, D23 is every other year. Same thing with the Power Rangers convention, Power Morphicon. It is every even number year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think they could do some cool stuff. There wouldn't be an 18 plus section though, unfortunately, unless it was being run by other people. I just don't think you would get the official like announcements or anything like that. Because I will check when I go to Comic-Con this year. I don't think there's like an 18 plus section at Comic-Con. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think, because you would have to brace that whole area off. Maybe they sell stuff like that. You just have to look for it. But yeah, I don't think that's the case. So yeah, I don't think that would happen. But you can dream. Anyways, moving on to Clay says, what huge risk would benefit DC the most if it succeeds? Having DC fandom in real life, complete with actors, costumes, and tabletop props. WB making films of DC non-heroes, looking less like comic movies as possible to appeal to more audiences. DC opening up branded stores, etc. Foot Locker, but all DC characters. Hooters, but DC. Chuck E. Cheese, but DC. Here's the thing. I don't think, because we know from conventions here in our own city, some conventions aren't profitable.
Yeah.
They're just kind of events you hold, and like you hope to make some money, but they're not like, you're not walking out of there a millionaire essentially. And I feel like if DC did something, they would be spending way more money to get people there, like, you know, celebrities and all that kind of stuff, and setting up everything, than they would make from the actual con itself. So I don't know if that would be the best thing. Although, I mean, if they make it back in, you know, consumables, maybe. Movies are always going to be the biggest profit, right? Because like, look at Joker. Joker was what? I think less than 70 million, or like $70 million, and it made $1 billion.
And I like the way that he's going non heroes. So not just your villains, but one movie that I absolutely love. It's a political thriller, The Post, with Tom Hanks and Mel Streep. You make that movie with the Daily Planet, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like you just make a movie inside of the DC universe with characters that aren't superheroes, but you can use the superhero names. I think that will build, like, of course, your universe, a brand and whatnot. But it'll get normies that are like, oh, this is a political thriller. What is this about? Oh, a newspaper. Okay, cool. Let's go watch it. And then you find out, like, the big byline at the end of the movie is Superman saves the day. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they kind of did that with that show with what's her face, where it was an insurance company. Jessica Hutchins. What's her name? Jennifer Hutchins. I forget her name. What the fuck is her name? Vanessa Hudgens.
Yeah.
I forget what the show was called, but it had like a lot of comedians in it. That was actually a decent show. And that was like,
I think it was called Powerless.
Yeah, it was Powerless. That was set in the DC universe, and they were insurance companies having to deal with all the fucking, you know, shit breaking and all that kind of stuff. So that was funny. We've always said Gotham Central is the perfect crime show, perfect crime movie you could make, which would be interesting. It was ironically with the Godzilla trailer that came out, -1. I've always said you could make a post-apocalyptic movie where like everybody's trying to survive and all that kind of shit. Like, oh my God, like they're fighting for food, all that kind of stuff, like you would see in The Walking Dead or whatever. And then at the very end of the movie, just reveal that it was Godzilla that put you in that situation. Like, I think that'd be really cool. Like, you don't need to show Godzilla the whole time. You just show like, oh my God, like, you know, I got to save people. I got to go kill these people because they took our food and all that kind of stuff. Just like a really gringy, dungy kind of movie. And at the
that
end,
would
like,
almost be like spoilers for I don't know how long ago it came out. But the second Cloverfield movie.
I never saw. I don't watch Cloverfield, so I've never seen them.
Okay,
So.
well, the second Cloverfield movie, it like was a horror suspense movie where they're like in a bunker,
Oh
like
yeah,
for
yeah.
the entire movie, and then
Yeah.
she escapes, and at the very end, you realize, oh, it's in the Cloverfield universe.
That had what's his name? Gooden, right?
Yeah. John Goodman.
Yeah, Goodman. There you go. Yeah, yeah. So I think that'd be kind of cool, something like that. But you can do like post-apocalyptic kind of stuff. So I would think the movies would be the most profitable thing. I don't think branded stores would really work. You know, you can do pop-up shops, but I think full branded stores wouldn't work. Anyways, moving on to Raphael. The controversial thing that happens in comics and we rage about it. In your opinion, it also depends on who does it. For example, I give you two writers. If the same controversial thing is done by King or Snyder, which do you think is more accepted by the community? Oh, Snyder. Snyder fans are going to accept whatever the fuck he does more than anybody what King does. Anything that King does.
Yes.
People just hate King. Like Snyder gets the pass more than anybody, I think.
Yeah. And listeners who don't read comics, this is Scott Snyder, not Zack Snyder.
Yeah. So, yeah, Snyder definitely. I mean, people still bought Death Metal 2. Like that shit was garbage.
Yeah.
And you know, he still gets referenced to being like, oh yeah, he created these amazing characters. If you read the comics, those characters were insufferable. Batman Who Laughs was, oh my God, I couldn't stand that character anymore. But people loved it because the design looks cool. Everybody's like, yeah, this is awesome. You know, King's created some cool characters. They don't get play anymore. And people are just like, oh, he wants Batman to be in love. Like, I don't know. Kind of, yeah, you can do the same scenarios and interchange things. But that's how it is in the real world, right? Like, that's how it is in politics. Like, you know, the fucking Republicans are like, oh, Democrats do this. And then when they do the same thing similar, they're like, oh, no, it's fine when we do it. They can't do it. And it's just like, people are just dumb. Like, it's just what happens. There's a lot of dumb people in the world, and they pick and choose. What is the selective? I mean, they say it's selective hearing, but it's the same thing. It's the same kind of shit. Like, people pick what they think is okay and not okay, even when it's the same fucking thing with a different color paint job. So, you know, it is what it is. Moving on to a question we didn't get to last week. So I pinned it this week because I wanted to make sure we got it. For some reason, it didn't show up in my comments. But this was from Eduardo de la Cruz. If it was me, Barry, I made them draw Lola Bunny with fewer sexual features so that you wouldn't be horny or reduce your blood flow to make you a millisecond slower. Slow enough for me to who would win. Godzilla. There's a lot of Godzilla talk today.
Yeah.
Godzilla versus Swamp Thing. Jim Gordon and Alfred versus Rick Grimes and Negan. Darkseid versus Goku and Vegeta. I think Godzilla destroys. Maybe.
I think Godzilla destroys Swamp Thing.
But are we giving Swamp Thing the power to where like he can just grow on another part of the world?
Well, Swamp Thing is a part of the green, so he's connected to all of the Earth.
Like, so then he never really dies. Can Godzilla drown? Because I'm curious. So? Yeah, can he breathe underwater? Does he have gills? Because, like, if he constantly lives underwater, then I would assume he can breathe underwater.
Well, he has, like, a cave underwater, and so it eventually has, like, an air pocket.
Oh, because I was going to say, I mean, I guess if he goes underwater, we've never really confirmed this, but if the green stretches to the ocean and you could create green underwater, could you hold Godzilla underwater and drown him? Would be my question.
So it does say here, Godzilla is amphibious. It has a preference for traveling Earth's hydrosphere when hibernating or migrating, and it can breathe underwater.
So you can't drown him either. Well, damn. Yeah, I would assume Godzilla. I mean, he's got fire breath, so I think it would just take a really long time to kill Swamp Thing, but he'd also destroy Earth in the process.
Yeah.
So he'd probably end up killing himself too. I don't know what Godzilla survives off of, but like, yeah. So I would say Godzilla wins that, but probably doesn't win in the long game. Gordon and Alfred versus Rick Grimes and Negan. I am gonna say probably Gordon and Alfred because of the shit they've been through is worse than what Negan and Rick have been through. So Alfred's punched out Superman. That's what I'll always go to. So, and then Goku and Vegeta versus Darkseid. I'm going Goku and Vegeta.
I'm gonna go Goku and Vegeta.
Yeah.
Again, people are like, "Oh, well, Superman can beat Darkseid. Can Goku and Vegeta beat Superman?" No. Superman's powers are just so stupid, insane. But I think it would be harder to say, "Oh, would Vegeta beat Darkseid?"
Yeah.
Would Goku beat Darkseid? That would be a little harder. If you have both of them fighting Darkseid, it's GG Darkseid.
Yeah.
Like, sorry. Goku and Vegeta are so on top on this one.
Yeah. Because you would think like, oh, he'll just hit him with the Omega beams, but like Goku can instant transmission. Like he can literally instant transmission to behind Darkseid, and then have Darkseid probably get hit with his own Omega beams, and be like, oh, got out of here, sorry. Goku would destroy Darkseid. I think if you were to fight them, one-on-one. Yeah, but Goku and Vegeta, because they can combine and fucking destroy the fuck out of you. I would definitely go with that. But there was a comment to that, which I can't read it. Oh, there it goes. From user UK that said, okay, Godzilla stops. Negan and Rick have fought worse, so they take this mod difficulty. Don't believe that. And I don't know about the last one. My money is on Darkseid more. So I don't agree with it. Maybe that's why I couldn't read that message right away, because it's wrong. But no, so I don't know. I think it's funny. So anyways, that's all we got for questions this week, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you haven't subscribed, or you're going to subscribe if you're listening to this on the audio sources, go subscribe to YouTube, and you can leave us some comments and be a part of the next show. Definitely do that. But now moving on to comics, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting week, because we have DC manga to talk about, which this was huge. I didn't know that this was coming out so soon, and it came out. And now the funny thing is, it's available on the Infinity app, right? Or DC whatever.
Infinite?
Yeah, it's on that app, but not for purchase inside comic shops yet, from my understanding.
Really?
Because I think it launches in September is when you can get them online.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
Because I went to the comic shop and picked up a sampler of manga, and they were giving these out for free. And it was like a little sampler that had all different versions of the book, because there's 3 books. There's a Superman book that's coming out. There is a Joker book where he takes care of Batman as a baby, and then there is the Justice Buster Batman book.
Correct.
We are only going to be reading, obviously, the 2 Batman books, and then we have Tom King's, continuing Danger Street, Teen Titans, which is World's Finest Teen Titans, and I'm forgetting another.
The Night Terrors number 1.
Night Terrors number 1. Let's go ahead and start with, let's just get Danger Street out of the way, which is, for those of you that don't know, if this is your first time listening to it, even though this book does not have Batman in it, we honorarily do Tom King's books because he's basically started this podcast. I should ask Tom King if he'll be on the podcast at Comic-Con. I should be like, yo, would you ever be down to be on a podcast? Because you basically started our podcast. Yeah, I'll ask him that if I get to talk to him. Anyways, we always cover Tom King's books, and so this is why we're covering Danger Street. Now, I don't know if you agree with this or not. Faster read than normal.
Yeah. I will admit I was reading it pretty late at night, so I had to stop reading and then finish the rest this morning. But it was a quicker read. Easier to follow because not a lot happened.
Yeah.
In this, you have to more so remember what happened in the last issues. To follow this one. But this one wasn't hard to follow compared to the other ones.
Yeah. Continuing the story of Lady Cop, which we found out she doesn't like to be called Lady Cop. And we have the wombats. I like to call them the little rascals because that's what they are.
Yeah.
The little rascals are out there making, just doing their normal stuff with graffitiing up the place, getting arrested, and all that kind of stuff. We find out got arrested on purpose. It seems like because they wanted to meet the guy that killed their friend or was a part of it, and they're gonna get broken out by the guy that killed their friend.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I don't know why that's happening. I don't know if I misremembered or if there's a plan.
I don't necessarily think it has been said.
Yeah.
They're like, because I feel like a lot of this conversation of this plan, it was like between the panels.
Yeah.
Here, because I don't remember last issue there being a lot of conversation of like, hey, we need to do this and this is how we'll get them, you know. But one of these kids who gets locked up with I can't remember his name, with the older gentleman, he's like, oh well, just sit tight, things are about to get bumping basically. And then at the very end of the book we do see what's his name just floating in the air outside of the prison, so you're like, okay, like clearly they've made some plans here. But my thing is, who is the redhead?
The redhead? Oh, I'm going to the wrong place.
With the
I'm confused.
At the bar.
I'm pulling it up right now. The redhead at the bar. We don't have our stuff organized anymore, so I gotta find it. Oh, the redhead at the bar. I thought that was oh yeah, that's true.
Is that Orion?
Yeah. It was Darkseid's kid, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Because if I'm not mistaken, he got his ass beat, didn't he?
He did, but I didn't know if he just ran back or whatever. Okay, so that makes sense, because at the last page where it has the 9-panel grid, you see him and you see what's his name floating above the prison, and I for a second thought it was the same person. I was like, why are they showing him at two different spots at the exact same time? That's weird.
Yeah. So the one thing I did really like about this story that was so nonchalantly done was, we know Lady Cop is waiting to get interviewing from this kid that she could never get an interview from. She's been waiting there for hours the whole day. And this secretary just keeps saying oh yeah, he's been delayed. He's got a phone call. Do you want any tea? Do you want anything like that? And she's like, and it's like at the end of the day, she's like, well, he's going home and I got to leave. So unfortunately, you're going to have to come back another day and reschedule. He's open in 5 weeks or something like that. And he's like, I can walk you out. And she's like, how do you, as they're in the elevator, she's like, how do you deal with this shit every day? Is what Lady Cop's telling the secretary. And she's like, well, he has my family and, he sends me a finger every once in a while. And he says, if I don't do what he says, he'll send me some eyeballs. And so I'm kind of stuck here and, I really don't want to see my kid die. So, I just kind of deal with it. See you tomorrow. And I was just like, God damn, that was crazy. And Lady Cop's just like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So, because she doesn't really, what can she do? Right? She can't even get a hold of this person. So, pretty wild stuff. And so, I thought that was pretty cool. We also found, Lady Cop talking to, what's his face? The creeper guy.
Yeah.
Creeper. And, what I really enjoyed was this kid getting the upper hand on the Manhunter and having the fucking octopus thing come out and actually fuck him up. And I'm curious on where that's gonna go, because who's this green guy that came out of the water?
There's a couple of them. If you look at the panel, it looks like there is two. One is a lighter tone of green and the other one is a darker tone of green. So I want to know who they are.
Yeah.
And why they are helping this kid.
Yeah, so, as typical Tom King fashion, a lot of questions, a lot of mystery, and you got to read the next issue to find out. I was kind of hoping the Manhunter was going to kill this kid, though, because he jumped out of the window last time and made him look stupid. So I was kind of hoping he was just going to, blast him. But, kid got the upper hand. So I'm like, okay, cool. The chase will continue. So pretty cool stuff. I will say, I do think this is one of those books that I just need to read it all together. But it is also kind of a long read, so I don't know if I could read it in one sitting. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm curious on where the mystery is going to go. And I kind of want to see one of those kids, since they're all betraying each other, kill one of the other kids.
Yeah.
This
that's
kid
what I'm kind of waiting
for. Life. Yeah. So I'm kind of hoping that happens. And I'm curious on, is the Justice League going to get involved at some point? Because those two guys constantly talk about joining the Justice League. Darkseid's involved. I feel like there's probably going to be an ending where maybe Batman and Superman, somebody shows up to stop all this nonsense, because there's a lot going on here and it's crazy and none of the Justice League is involved. So I don't know. Interesting stuff. Moving on from that, let's go over to Night Terrors, because this had, I think you called this or you were curious about the ending of this, no? Like the person that came back?
No, I think I did call this.
Yeah, I just didn't
call this.
But so spoiler alert, obviously, for the ending of this, it's Sandman, right?
Yeah.
So I always pictured Sandman as long blonde hair, white hair. So why do who's this dude?
So this is a different Sandman. So I called it, but I called the wrong one.
Okay.
I thought of Neil Gaiman's Sandman.
Yeah.
This Sandman is from the JSA. From way back in the day. Yeah. So I'm not gonna say that I was correct, but I technically kind of was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so weird that he is literally coming back from the dead. Again, spoilers, because at the very end it says to be continued in the Brave and the Bizarre, Zombie Sandman and Batman Deadman team up.
Yeah.
But going back to the beginning of this, we don't really get any kind of progression kind of at all here. It's just a fight between Deadman Batman and Insomnia throughout the entire thing. And I liked it, but again, no progress was really made. And that's where I'm like, it's really forcing people to buy all the other books because that's where all the interesting stuff is going to be.
Yeah, I don't like that this is a number one because I'm like, how do I follow the story? Again, I'm really annoyed by that kind of stuff. If you're going to have a series, just name all the books in a number of order. If there's going to be 50 books, then all right, give me number 1, number 2, number 3. Like, it is what it is. It shouldn't be that hard to be able to connect all the books and be like, meanwhile, like just do shit like that. And this is book 2. But yeah, essentially, this was we did learn a little bit about Insomnia to where he, instead of hiding his bad memories, he hides his good memories. And Deadman's all like, yo, why are you hiding your good memories? Who the fuck does that? That's weird. And he's all like, get out of my brain, And so we kind of learned that, which I thought was interesting. And we found out that the Nightmare Stone is more than likely hidden in somebody's nightmares. And that's kind of where it's at. And it's not like a physical thing, or if it is a physical thing, it's in somebody's nightmares. So Insomnia is looking through everybody's nightmares. And we also learn that this is happening all around the world. And so the only heroes that are not awake right now are, some of the ones they show, like obviously Deadman, Zatanna, who else? They show, obviously Red Tornado, he's an android, so he doesn't go to sleep. But yeah, I think it was pretty interesting to see that there are some people that are, asleep right now and they're going through all of their nightmares. And then, at the very end, we get Wesley Dodds, and Deadman is back, which I thought was pretty cool. Like, it looks awesome that this zombie is wearing a gas mask and he's like oozing fumes because of Lazarus pills. Now that's a thing. I think that was relatively new, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Or it looks like they poured it on him though. So maybe it was like liquid. But it's Lazarus resin, is what it's called. And that's how he got back to life. I do feel like they've been overdoing Lazarus a lot in the last year or so, but I guess you would think if there was this magical cure, people would try to bottle it somehow. So makes sense. But I do think it is a way that they keep bringing back everything. Also, the moon looks like the Nightmare Stone, by the way. So, FYI.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
So maybe they're going to go to space and Batman can fall from it again. So
I also want to say it's not on our list to talk about, but I think it might hold a little bit of some insight on the overall story. So I'm going to read it later this weekend. But Night Terror's Robin #1 came out this week also.
Oh shit!
And Robin's story was at the end of the last book that we read, which was Night Terror's Batman, I think.
Okay, yeah, we don't have our books anymore, ladies and gentlemen, so we may miss one here and there because we don't have they're not ordered specifically perfectly anymore when we get them. So moving on from that book though, we did get a spin-off, or I don't know if this is continuing World's Finest. This seems like a separate story.
Yeah.
And we have World's Finest Teen Titans #1. So this is Mark Waid. So if you've been enjoying World's Finest, Batman, Superman, this is kind of the same idea, but it involves with the Titans kind of joining up for the first time, or at least Robin joining them for the first time. Yeah. And everybody's totally cool with it except for Batman. Batman's like, no, yeah, I don't want you there.
Yeah, it's really weird because there has been several like reiterations of how the Teen Titans has been formed.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of like a hey, all of these sidekicks are rebelling and we're gonna go do our own thing and have fun with it type of thing. How it started. In some iterations, it was Tim Drake deciding, hey, we actually need to be separated from our mentors because it's just a headache and a lot of stress with them, and we need to do our own thing. So I like this. It's very early on. They are trying to convince themselves that they're all friends throughout this book. We get that a lot from Wally. But one thing that I really enjoyed is the fact that it's in a modern era.
Mm-hmm.
And so Roy is live streaming the entire time.
Yeah.
And Robin is like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you're flexing in front of a camera right now. We're trying to save lives. He's like, yeah, but I never miss. And then he shoots an arrow.
Yeah.
And so I really dig that. I think it's really, really fun. I like you said, everybody, Barry, Diana, Oliver. Well, I guess you actually don't get to see Oliver at all. I think it's Roy just talking to himself.
Yeah.
And then Aquaman. They're all talking to their apprentices, proteges, and saying like, hey, like, I'm all for this. Like, how's your day going? Like, how's the team and all of this? But we find out the really big thing throughout this book, not throughout, but the big thing at the end of this book is like, there's no secrets with the Teen Titans.
Yeah.
But there is secrets with Robin.
Yeah. He's doesn't want to give up his identity. And he learns that all from Batman. Like, you know what I mean? Because they do kind of have the Justice League Unlimited moment with Roy here. And he like calls out everybody's name. He's like, so-and-so. He's like, but we don't know who you are. Like, you're Mr. Mysterious. And like, he's like, Roy's always been a pain in the ass. Like, it's kind of what's annoying about his character. And so like Robin's like, I'm fucking done with this. He's like, I'm not gonna give up my identity or whatever. And he like dips out. And that's when Wally's like, hey, yo, we're all friends here, right? And he's like, yeah, you'll be back, right? And he's like, maybe, I don't know. And then Robin takes off. And that's when we go to a warehouse somewhere in Metropolis. And we see a shadowy figure trying out new recruits because they want to make a better Teen Titans. Yeah. And we meet a guy that can make luck kind of happen.
He says he can affect probability, but not like win the lottery, but I'm pretty good at it. And the guy's like, next, and he fucking just like hits him with freaking lightning.
Yeah. You think this is like a Shazam type character, weather wizard?
I'm gonna think because Mark Waid likes to pull from some random wacky characters. Back in the day, if you look, he was introduced, I believe, in the series 52, not New 52, but there was a
Mhm.
series. It was called Countdown
Yeah.
52. Black Adam had a lover, wife, significant other named Isis,
Mhm.
and she had a younger brother. And I believe they called him. I don't know if this was his exact name, but I think the joke was it was Black Adam Jr. basically,
Oh, okay.
and I think that's who this is.
Interesting. Yeah, I have no idea, but it was a fun read. You know, Mark Waid, the one thing he does good is the world's finest stuff. So,
Yeah,
very interesting. And I'm interested to see where that's going to go. Although I don't want to keep getting a bunch of different. It seems like Mark Waid is building his own world with finest. And I'm like, well, there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. And you kind of blended your stuff into reality already with that Batman versus Robin story. So, like, are we going to keep getting flashback stories? Or, like, because that's what it feels like a lot of these things are, you know?
yeah,
So, I'm kind of curious on where we're going with that. But moving on. Oh, the one thing I do want to point out is DC's promoting this new Hot Girl book like crazy this week with all
yeah.
of these things. I will say shout out to James Gunn for actually making Hot Girl a Latina in DCU because a lot of people don't understand that she's a Latina.
Well,
So
it's really stupid because there was a post that I saw, again, just people being stupid.
yeah,
Was like, oh, I guess Hawk Girl's a Mexican now.
yeah,
And they were like, oh, it's changing genders is gonna be, or no, changing ethnicity. What did they say? It was something really, really stupid.
yeah,
Um, but they were complaining that they hired a Mexican to be Hawk Girl.
yeah,
And what we all laughed about is the picture that they showed was from the animated series. I was like, you dumbasses. The
yeah,
person who voiced that character is Mexican.
yeah,
The post is right here. It says that exact hawk says here, Hawk Girl gonna be a Latina now. The ginger side,
hmm
because it's she's a redhead
yeah,
in the animated series. The ginger side continues.
yeah,
And then somebody quote tweeted it and said that exact Hawk Girl adaptation that you specifically posted was played by a Latina voice actress, you dumbass.
yeah. A lot of people forget that character is a Latina. So, you know, granted, they did have that horrible cover with her eating burritos or whatever during Latina Heritage Month.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that. But moving on, shout out to James Gunn for that. I forgot to mention it. But anyways, moving on to the first manga of the two we have, the Joker story. Now, Clay, I don't know what you thought of this Joker story, but it feels like Japan doesn't really understand the characters too well. I don't know how you felt about it, or if you kind of just read it as a whatever kind of thing.
So I don't take it too seriously.
Okay.
Um because I also know that Marvel
hmm
did some recently collaborated content for manga as well, with like Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and stuff, and I haven't had the chance to read it yet, but I'm gonna assume that they're gonna be the exact same as this, where
Okay.
it's just like, hey, we're gonna take the characters and try to be like that, but just do it in our art style.
Yeah.
um because the Joker looks clean. I like the design for the Joker.
Yeah.
I think he looks pretty cool. Um, but the story overall was really nothing.
Yeah. It's basically we found out how Batman became a baby. He basically got reverse Jokered. Instead of turning into a psychopath, he regenerated into a child after falling into a vat.
Yeah.
And Joker was there because he was fighting Joker, and he was like, "Oh, I'll take care of this baby now. Nobody else can."
But and he says like, "Oh, I'll make you the best Dark Knight."
Yeah,
Because one of the big things is like when he throws him into the vat, he says like, "Oh no, I'm going to be bored without you. Like, let me go save you." And so when he sees that he's a baby, he's like, oh well, like I'm still gonna be bored, but now I can train you to be the best Batman, and we
yeah,
can, duel it out again once you're older, type of thing.
yeah,
um And one thing that I really noticed, this is the chapter 1 in most mangas.
Mhm.
If you look at a chapter 1, they are 50 plus pages long.
Yeah.
This is only like a measly like 20 something pages.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're missing a lot of what could grab the audience if they read this book.
Yeah, because the whole joke here too is like he's changing his diaper and he's like, "Oh, I bought the big ones," and he was like, "Oh, I used one. Now I can't return them." And I'm just like, I could feel that as being goofy manga stuff, but like, it's weird when it's the Joker, right? Like, because manga knows how to do evil, creepy ass villains, so Joker being like the main protagonist is kind of weird.
Well, and that's another thing too. There's different types of mangas. You
Yeah,
have your comedy centered
hmm
mangas like your One Punch Man,
yeah,
your I'm trying to think of something specific is widely known by the general audience. Um
yeah. Comedy wise, I'm not too sure, uh,
um
but
God damn, I don't have a lot of comedy in my collection here. Jesus Christ.
yeah,
Um,
same.
but yeah, like it's you have those types of mangas. It's
Hmm.
not unheard of. And so that doesn't bother me. It's the fact that there's not a whole lot to grab me. This was such a quick read.
Yeah,
Um, one thing that people will come to learn if they start reading manga is there is less detail
hmm
and no colors. So it's not like you're having to look at the entire page for like,
yeah,
hey, to really consume a whole lot. You're really just reading and taking a glance at the panels.
yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. And the one thing that bothered me about this, of course, we're reading it digitally, so it might be different if this actually is published physically,
Hmm.
but the panel reading for manga is correct where it goes from right to left,
Yeah,
but you're moving the pages from left to right, which is
yeah, yeah,
incorrect.
yeah,
But in the other book that we read, Justice Buster, the writing is from left to right.
yeah,
And so it's confusing. It would be confusing to a lot of people if they purchase both of these books and they're like, hey, which one is the correct order?
yeah.
Um, so I think they need to focus on that a whole lot too. Uh, but overall, I think I'm gonna stick with this Joker story because the cliffhanger of like, oh no, I bought the wrong size of diapers. It's a funny gimmick,
Hmm.
and so I can be like, okay, that's the kind of humor that I could expect from this. I want to see more from it. Usually for me, I let a manga go for at least 5 to 10 chapters before I'm like, I'm not gonna read anymore. Um, and so I think that would be a fair trade. But the thing is, usually with this type of stuff, um, on the manga app Shonen Jump or
Hmm.
Viz, it's weekly. Like I'm
Yeah.
not sure if we're getting this weekly.
No, there's no way. Um, I don't know, Clay. I'm going through Justice Buster right now, and I feel like it goes from right to left.
Is it from right to left? Did I read it wrong the entire time and it still made sense?
Yeah, well, if we just jump to that right now, this book was fucking fast to read.
Yes,
It
it
was
was.
44 pages, and maybe 10 of them have dialogue. So, like, and here's the thing, this felt more like Batman, though.
Yeah.
Like they kept Batman very stoic. He didn't say a lot of words, and it was a lot of action. And I was just like, okay, maybe Japan can get Batman down. And so I actually enjoyed Justice Buster more than the Joker story. Um, but I get the vibe that it reads from right to left. But I mean, you don't have too many options to perfect that because there's not a lot of,
I
there's not
guess I
that much
guess you're
dialogue.
right. I guess you're right. Again, it was late when I was reading this, so
Yeah.
I whatever.
So Justice Buster, I actually really like the concept because we have a Batman that has an Alfred, but he doesn't have a Robin, but he created an AI Robin to help him with his gadgets.
Yeah.
And so we find out that he's chasing down Firefly. There is this kid who I can already assume is going to be the future Robin, right? because we kind of hint that he lost his parents because like this grandfather is fixing the watch, or his uncle is fixing this watch, and he's like, oh, this was an heirloom of your father's, like I have to fix it for you. And this kid is like, oh, hey, look, uncle, that weird bat light is in the sky again. And that's when we see Batman, chasing down Firefly. Looks great in black and white. We've kind of seen this before in, Future's End. And so, like, I don't know, there's just all this amazing action. There's this cool kind of like Black Panther type moment with Batman where he's jumping through smoke and he has his hands kind of like how Black Panther does with the claws, and like they're in the X kind of formation. Yeah. And he's chasing across rooftops. Doesn't have a cape, by the way. Or at least it doesn't in a lot of these panels. He doesn't have a cape because he's wearing like a kind of like a, what do they call it? Exoskeleton suit type of thing.
Yeah.
And we find out that Batman, there's a moment when he shoots his grappling hook when he's chasing, and the function is blocked, and he starts falling from the sky, and he's able to, he's able to find out a way to save himself, and he grappling hooks or whatever. And he ends up, this is when he has the cape. So I don't know if the cape comes out when he needs it to. Like, it's kind of weird.
I think it does. I think it's, I guess it would help with like aerodynamic and like drag.
Yeah.
Like, so if he's running, the cape would like slow him down, right?
Yeah.
And so like he only needs it when he's needing to glide. So I like that function. I think that is really, really cool.
Because it does come out where he kind of saves himself. We do see him talking to Firefly. He's like, oh, hey, Batman, if you would actually maintain your, they're kind of talking about equipment here, which I think is funny. And they're like, if you would know how to maintain your equipment, you wouldn't have failed back there. And Batman has a booby trap that Firefly doesn't know about. It captures him, and he's all like, I don't need any advice from you. Like, I maintain my devices. And this is when he's getting a system reboot on his whole stuff. We see that. And then he goes back to his house, is where we see Alfred for the first time. Bruce is taking off his helmet, and he goes to the computer, and we find out it's named Robin. The AI is named Robin, which I think is cool. And he starts having a conversation with Robin. He's like, tell me why my grappling hook failed. And we learn that the AI made its own decision to be like, well, there was actually explosives on that you were about to grab. And if you would have grabbed it, it would have exploded. It would have put you in a worse situation than you were in. And the debris could have killed humans. And so Batman's like, that's some fucking good decision making right there. And Alfred is just like, he made
you could have died.
Yeah. He's like, he made a decision for you. And he's like, but it was the right one. And I made this guy. So Bruce is kind of being a little arrogant.
Yeah. And the AI Robin does say like, oh, Alfred, you have nothing to worry about because there was a 97.7% chance that you would have, been able to save yourself.
Yeah.
And so you're in the clear basically.
And so, and Alfred's like, so there was you went with a higher probability. When I read this, I was like, this is iRobot. Cause this is
it's Brother Eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know if you remember iRobot, the movie with Will Smith. Like, the whole reason why he hated robots was because they saved him over a child because he had a higher probability. So I was like, oh, this is fucking iRobot. So Bruce is all giddy. And the robot's like, oh, I need those upgrades to be better. And he's like, I'll get you those upgrades. And so Alfred's kind of like, what, yo, bro, did you not watch Terminator? Like, what's going on here? And so as this was all kind of cool. I like this. Alfred's kind of like, very weary of the whole situation. And we kind of get a hint because Bruce is like, I need a partner. And this is my partner. You know what I mean? And then you turn the page, and then there's this kid that's watching the light in the sky, which I'm pretty sure that's going to end up being Robin, I assume.
Yeah.
Because this AI is probably going to let him down in some way. And so he's going to know I can't trust this. Then do we get Pretty Boy Gordon?
I think so.
They make Gordon look like fucking, he's a model over here with this fancy ass hair. He's got the trench coat. And he's looking up at the sky, and he's just like, "Don't make me laugh. Are we gonna get fucking like?"
This is either Pretty Boy Gordon, or this is Harvey Dent.
Interesting.
Like if he's a part of the DA, like a
Yeah.
newbie in the DA, and he sees the bat signal, he's like,
Yeah.
"Don't make me laugh. Like this vigilante is causing problems in our city."
Yeah, interesting. Because he didn't have a mustache, so maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. But maybe this is a different type of Gordon, right? So, but the trench coat kind of made me think it was Gordon. So I will say for an anime adaptation of Batman, this one was pretty interesting. It gave me a reason to like, okay, I like the concept. It felt like Batman, and I want to see where the story is going to go, more so than the Joker one. Did you read the Superman one?
I have not had the chance to
Yeah.
read it yet. No,
I haven't read that either. I just saw like he's eating like a big old bowl of ramen. Like I was like, okay, he's gonna be Goku. I feel like he's gonna be like crazy pit of just eating everything. But I don't know if that's what happens. I just saw a couple pages. But overall, I thought this was kind of cool. I'm curious if this is gonna continue and how long it'll continue for. I don't know if they give them a certain amount of time to do X amount, but you know, if it is like straight mangakas doing this, you would think that they're going to churn them out like crazy, but I don't know if DC wants to pay for that.
I wonder if it's if it was like, hey, this is going to be a 1 volume thing, so just write until this story ends type of thing.
Maybe.
Or if it is an ongoing project, that would be very interesting.
Yeah. God damn, I just got an email saying that Clayman is gonna have commissions for Comic-Con. And I looked down and it says head sketch 650, black and white inks only. 12 spots available.
Damn.
Torso grayscale / spot color copies, 12 spots available, 1250. And if you want full figure background and color copies, only 3 spots available, $38.50.
All right, so $38.50 times, let's think of the rest of the page being times 3. So $38.50 times 3, and then multiply that by how long is a comic book?
22 pages, about 20 to 22 pages.
All right, so multiply that by 22. Let's see how much money it would cost Juice to get those next issues of those fill-in issues.
I technically only need to pay him for the black and white, and then I need to pay what's his face to do the colors. Technically.
Okay, so let's subtract 400 for the for the inks. So $34.50. So $34.50 times 3 times 22. That's only $227,000.
There's no way he gets paid that much. There's no way. That's insane. That means he'd be a millionaire just doing Batcat. There's just no way. That's crazy. I wonder how much he would charge though. Like genuinely. He's probably not going to be on the floor. And honestly, I don't know what Clayman looks like. I think I've maybe seen him with like stubble before. Like beardy stubble.
I'm pretty sure all of his accounts just have his art as his profile pic. So I don't know what he looks like either.
Yeah, I want to say I've probably seen him before in an interview, but I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, that is it for the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 200. If you lasted this long into the podcast and you're not subscribed on YouTube, go subscribe, because again, we are going to start putting out content on the Batman News Weekly YouTube channel. So definitely go support. And leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know maybe what you want to see on the channel going forward. Podcast is always going to happen. So podcast ain't changing. We're still doing that. No worries. But that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen, as always. Oh, Clay, do you got anything going on this week, man? Another Star Wars.
This week on Star Wars Alliance, we did break down the trailer that we were talking about earlier in this podcast. So go check that out. We are on the road to prepare ourselves for the Ahsoka series. So we are reviewing every season of Rebels. And we're also going to be talking about books that introduced the character of Thrawn as well. So be on the lookout for all of that.
Thrawn's the blue guy, right?
Yes, he is the blue guy that showed up in the trailer.
Did you think he looked like Elon Musk? Because he looks like blue Elon Musk.
Oh man, no, you should look at type in on your phone or on your computer, type in Star Wars Rebels and then write Thrawn.
Oh, I've seen the guy. I've seen him before, but the live action one.
But the crazy thing is, that is the voice actor.
Oh, that's cool.
So for us, we've had this discussion on Star Wars Alliance. We're thinking like, okay, he did a good voice, but he may not be the right actor to play him.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a really odd choice. Like his hairstyle is different. His like face structure and everything is just so like immensely different from what they portrayed onto the cartoon. So it's been a really big topic of debate for sure.
Interesting. That's pretty cool though, because that's I think what a lot of voice actors have wanted over time. But yeah, I wonder if it'll be real. But he looks like blue Elon Musk. So interesting stuff. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I have started streaming on Kick. I am currently doing an experiment where I'm going to do at least 30 streams on Kick. And I'm trying to get to 75 followers. So if you got a Kick account and you want to go watch the live stream, definitely go do that. I am streaming more. Going to try to stream 3 to 4 times a week if possible. So I will be posting those dates and things that I'm doing as well in the Discord. So definitely go follow the Discord as well. But that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. As always, he is Fanboy Clay. I am Juice Wayne. And remember, Batman is awesome.